See if anybody shows up. December 1st, everybody. How's everybody doing? Pete Branscombe here. You know, I've really been sucking at putting out content. I get so darn caught up in all this distraction that's going on. Distraction that's, you know, part of everything, but it's a distraction nonetheless to get you not focused on what is really taking place. It's just an order of death that's happening. The order of death. What is the order of death? The order of death is what is the order of death? I don't know. What is it? Exactly what it says it is. The order of death, bound by death and destruction and chaos. You guys know that we are in a worldwide initiation program, right? That's what we're in. We're in a worldwide initiation program where all of humanity is being initiated into the new order. And you'll have the option to choose to go into the new order or not go into the new order. Okay? Two options. You have the free choice. Okay? So we don't have to go through any secret initiation in the New World Order. We're going through it publicly. Okay? Right now, we're going through that initiation. It's going to intensify. You know, I remember reading different articles and stuff back in the day where it talked about lists and classifications and, you know, who was actually at the top of the pyramid and the different rungs in the pyramid. And that's what I like to get into. And for years, that's what I looked at. It's only been in the last few years where it's like our conspiracy research has gone mainstream, right? That which was kind of in the shadows is now being brought to light. Now, why would that be that they would bring these secrets to light? Because it's the externalization of the hierarchy. And everybody is being initiated. Before, the initiations were done in secret societies and so on and so forth. But now, the whole world is going to be brought in to this new world order, one way or another. Whether you are part of the order or part of the Holocaust, the coming Holocaust. I've known this for years, right? Like, when I decided to start looking at this stuff, one of the biggest things for me was when I looked up the word witness, to be a witness for Christ. Well, to be a witness for Christ is to literally be a living sacrifice. Okay? It's literally to be a martyr, to be killed for the faith, just like it says in the Bible that The enemy he kills us all day long, right? And Christ told us that, you know, don't fear them that hate you, right? Because those that hate you, they also hated me. In fact, they hated me first, and that's why they hate you, right? You know, Donald Trump, how he used that phrase. You know, I made a video called, what was it, Donald Trumpkinhead or something like that? The Ballad of Donald J. Trump. And I made that in kind of a satirical kind of fashion. I mean, if you watch it, you can tell that I was kind of being satirical, but I was also being serious in the information that I was putting out, right? I was kind of being goofy while I was presenting it and whatnot, but I do mean the things that I said in that video. Now, is it all correct? I don't know. It's my opinion, it's my guess, right? I don't have to be 100% right on it. I'm just putting the information out there. I'm not saying that this is gospel, right? But I'll get into that another time. We're not talking about Donald Trump here. So when I realized that to be a martyr is to be a witness for the testimony of Jesus Christ, and I understood what my future was. I understood that at some point in time I'm going to be murdered for the cause of Christ. Now that's been in my mind, okay, rolling around in there for years. Probably, I don't know, 15 years understanding this. And you can say that would kind of change how you live your life, and it did. It did. Now, I never always lived the best. Definitely lived in much sin, even in my process of understanding the truth. But it basically put me in a position where I knew to lead a simple and mostly humble life, because at some point in time I understood that it was all going to be taken from me. And I figured that the less that I had physically, the less bonds to this world that I had, then the easier it would be to cast the world aside, right? To step out of it when the time came. Because there's a time coming when in Revelation it says, you know, come out of her, my people. And I'm just gonna pop over to YouTube on my laptop here. Pop over to the old lappy top. And we're gonna go to my channel. And I'm gonna check out my live stream. Because it says that nobody's watching on here. And as I check my computer, surely there is nobody watching. That's all good. Eventually, somebody will start watching. It's 9:45 too, so I get it that there's Rage stream is coming on. I gotta mute this because I can hear my echo, and when I can hear my voice kind of delayed in the background, it causes me to slow down my speech. So, and this way I can check out the chat. Subscribers down to 228. 228. How's that happen? How's the old 228 happen? I was up to 230, and then that's what YouTube does to me. It just kind of like kind of just picks away at my subscriber count, right? And hides thumbs up, and deletes them. I have them one day, and then he just starts day by day ticking them off. It's a weird thing. Because again, I'm only a very small channel, right? I need something behind me. I need like some kind of banner or flag. Hope everybody's doing good. I had a low morale point there for a little bit, and I think I was just really getting too focused on the things of this world, and that's what it's meant to do, is to have us distracted and in this kind of fleshly mind where we're concerned with things like, you know, Black Lives Matter and Antifa and Corona and all this stuff, and we're not looking at the bigger picture of what's going on, right? Because we just sit around and we talk about all these things and we laugh and we joke and carry on, and then nothing ever gets done. Because we're not going to do anything, are we? Right? Until the turning. Because there's a turning coming. There is a turning coming. And when it'll happen, I don't know. What will be the linchpin? What will be the match that strikes? What will it be? My guess is Corona will continue to, Omicron will continue to rage out of control, and they'll continue to do all these tyrannical measures and everything like that, and people will continue to protest, and large protests and stuff will happen, and they will, the media will continue to deny that it's even taking place. They'll deny that there's any kind of resistance to this, and everybody just wants it, and then the very few resistors to it, well, we're gonna have them classified so that we can just remove them from society. Okay, but I think we know that that there is more going on than just that. Oh, hey, Armchair, hey brother, pray for my family. My parents have been hospitalized the past couple weeks from the jabs. Sorry, Armchair Man. It's friggin' terrible, bud. I will have you in my prayers, my brother. That's why there's going to be a turning happening. When enough people, this hits close to home here with Omicron, the moronic variant, when it starts hitting people because of the and people start really seeing what's going on, it's going to shift people's minds. A paradigm shift will take place. People understand at once. I'm really sorry about that, Armchair Man. Like, we're all going through different things right now, but you know, I can't say that any of my family's in the hospital from the jabs, but I do have siblings that have taken it, and I'm just hoping and praying that, you know, they got saline and not squalene or whatever it is, right? And just hoping that they, you know, I don't know what's going to happen this winter. This winter is going to be something crazy. But it's good to see you, Armchair Man. You take care, and you stay strong, and you pray for your family, and you do whatever you can. I'm sure that you probably can't even go and visit them right now. right now. That's what I seen. I was kind of figuring that most states, like, cause we have some friends that are from the states. Well, I guess I haven't met them. My wife's been talking to another lady, and she's from the states, and you know, and other people that we know that have gone to the states. They're all the same way. They're like, it's like you go to the states, and it's like COVID's gone. It doesn't even exist. People just come and go and do it. Nobody wears a mask. You might see a few people with them on, but it's not a commonplace. But then you know that you go to these other Democrat-run cities, leftist-run cities, and you know that everybody's just full-on corona. And that's basically Canada is like a leftist democratic state, right? Just different flavors all across Canada to different levels, right? You've got people that are definitely resistant to it and that are definitely, kicking back against it. There are protests that are taking place, but they just don't report any of that stuff. They just lie nonstop every day. I can see them looking good, man. I'm glad you can go and visit them. That's good, man. My brother, he's been in the hospital he was in the hospital when was it? Last winter. During the winter, he went into the hospital. And he had to get his foot amputated. And he was in there till fall. No, sorry. He got out before summer. And then he was out for the summer. And then basically he went back in immediately in the fall because his other foot began to have similar issues. And then he had to have that operated on and have all of his toes removed. So he was just getting back on the stage of getting a prosthetic on and working around with that. He didn't have it when he was home because he hadn't gotten to that point. He was just still in the state of healing and whatnot. So he was getting around wheelchair and walker and stuff like that, right? But he was in the process of getting the prosthetic. And so he had to go back, and that set him way back because he wasn't able to do anything on that other foot because he had the other foot, the toes amputated off, so he couldn't put the prosthetic on and put any pressure on the other one. So it's been a long process for him. And he's now, this past week, he's been up and moving around with the walker, and he put on Facebook, I seen there that he was up and walking on it for 15 minutes. So that's doesn't seem like much, but that's a big improvement for him. I hope he gets home soon. But I haven't been able to see him. I haven't been able to see my own brother, my big brother. So I'm glad you've been able to visit your folks. It's good. So, glad you came to join. There's 4 other people watching, nobody commenting. 5 people watching, nobody commenting but Armchair. Come on, don't be shy, everybody. Don't be shy. Chat it up. Talk with each other. Get to know each other in the chat. That's what I like to see. I like when people are chatting it up in the chat. Unless you're a dick and we don't want you here and you're just kind of you're just watching to see what's going on. Oh, one left. Yeah, well, many people are, right? They still don't want to admit those things. So that's not, it's not exclusive to your folks. There's a lot of people that are like that are, a lot of these people that's why they brought out the moronic variant, right? So when people start having these issues, they can blame it on whatever else and then blame it on the Omicron, right? It's the Omicron, I tell you, the Omicron. Remember Principal Skinner? It was the butterfly, I tell you, the butterfly. Yes, Mr. Skinner, it's always the butterfly. The doctors refuse to acknowledge it caused it too. Yeah, for sure, right? Because if they acknowledged it, then they would be responsible, wouldn't they? And their conscience would not allow that. They might have to go and take a header out a window, or kick a rickety old chair out from underneath themselves. So they're not going to admit that. Why would they do that? Why would they admit to wholesale murder, right? That's why every day that people go along with this narrative just a little bit more, you're passing the initiation in the order of death by going along with this. And we just gotta hope that our friends and family that have taken this thing will be okay, and they'll come out of this, and that we can break this spell from them. Because I mean, I've seen lots of things out there where people are saying, you can heal yourself from this shot, and that you can get this stuff out of your system, and so on and so forth. I don't know about it. I haven't done enough research into it. I'm sure there's a way, because this ain't the mark of the beast, right? I've been adamant about that. This ain't the mark of the beast, so I don't think anybody's past redemption from taking the jab. I just think they're just put themselves in a bad situation. Revelation 3:9, brother, how are you doing? My coworker got sick, so he urgently got the carcinogenic swab upon him and his whole family, breaking that blood-brain barrier. The doctors are initiated priests of the pharmakia schools. They have no excuse. That's right, they are. They are a priest class, right? They're just like any other civilization in the past that had this priestly class that, used pharmakia on people, on themselves to, get to this higher state of consciousness, right? To do experiments on people, right? Not on themselves. Well, some of them are drinking the Kool-Aid though, aren't they? That's the thing. They're committed. They're committed occultists. So, what is the order of death? They wear white robes like the oracles of Delphi. Whoa, I was just reading a little recap on the oracles of Delphi, actually. Yes, I shouldn't say I was reading on it. It was in the reading that I was reading. It mentioned the Oracle of Delphi, but I've done some research on that at one point in time or another. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Greece, right? Yes, Greece. Where was it when where Alexander the Great, was that the Oracle of Delphi, where he went there and there was the knot, and it was like the whole thing was that whoever could untie this knot, right, would loosen this knot. They would be king, basically, ruler. And the story goes that Alexander the Great just walked up to it with a sword and he whoosh, cut it in half. Gordian knot. There we go. I had that kind of in my head, but I couldn't spit it out. Gordian knot. That's it. Okay. So let's talk about the order of death. The order of death, the initiation into the New World Order. Okay? So often, we see different things regarding this, and we often think of things that are truly satanic in nature on its face, and that is part of it. But there's also this group that call themselves the Brotherhood of Light, right? The White Brotherhood. And Sons of Light versus the Sons of Darkness, and it's this whole yin-yang conspiracy that's all tied together. And that's what controls the whole externalization of the hierarchy. It's what is bringing out that which was in secret is now being brought to light. Okay, but it's not the true light. It's the deceiving light. It's the false light. It's the Lucifer. It's that star in the morning, right? Saturn. The Saturn? Star in the morning. It looks like it's the only star in the sky, the only light left in the sky. A false light, which you might presume is what's lighting up the sky, because you can't see the sun, but the sky is light, but yet this star is still up there. And it has the appearance as if it's lighting up the sky. But if you just wait but a few minutes, you'll see over the horizon the true light. Countenance like the sun. When it comes up over the horizon, and then that little light, that false light in the sky, gets obliterated by the sun. Just putting on my communist this, bruh. Smash the Thatch, bruh. So, you know, I've gone around this and talked about Benjamin Creme there before, and never got really too far into him. And his proclamation of Maitreya, right? The Messiah and the Christ conscience. And I said this, if you go back in my videos and look at them, I've been saying the same message this entire time. And you'll notice on my channel that I'll get kind of sidetracked and distracted with what's the things that are going on today, which are important, but they're surface level and they don't tell you everything. If anything, they get you emotionally invested so that you'll pick one side or the other side. And I've always said that it's not about the right or the left. Okay? It's not about the right or the left. And also, for them, it's not about the right or the left, because the left has an extreme and the right has an extreme. And what they want to do is they want to flatten that extreme, they want to flatten that extreme, and then they want to have this little gray area in the middle. And that is what is going to emerge from the ashes of the chaos that is taking place, that will continue to ramp up. Because right now we're still not in the midst of the chaos yet, right? Well, we see it coming. We see all the players, all the chess pieces being set up and whatnot, but we're still not there. Check the chat here for a second. I gotta take these breaks. I'm gonna check the chat so I don't get just talking and carry on. And I want to talk to you guys in the chat too. In modern Turkey, Greek Asia, order of death. Yeah, that's where. Hey, Revelation 3:9. Erdogan there. You know what's? He's obsessed with the spear of destiny, right? And there's something about the throne of Satan, you know, Pergamon, which was transplanted from its original location to Berlin, okay, after World War II. And was it in the 70s? Bad with some of these dates, but it was after World War II. They moved the Pergamon Gate, okay, the big kind of U-shaped structure with the steps going around it. That was the throne of Satan, and they moved it to Berlin. Okay? And it was pretty controversial then, because it's like, that's literally the throne of Satan, and you're putting it, they literally moved the whole thing and put it inside of a building. It's pretty freaking crazy. Why? Why'd they do that? Centrism is the goal, the perfect NWO citizen. That's right, 100%. That's what I've been saying the whole time. Better to be hot or cold and not lukewarm, lest you be spewed out of the mouth. So, from what I understand, Erdogan is getting pretty antsy about the throne of Satan, and it maybe being moved to Turkey. I got to look more into that. It was actually moved between 1910 and the German Empire. Oh, it was before World War II. I thought I just read something about that where they said it was moved in the 70s. Because originally I thought it was pre-World War II, and then I read what I read, and I guess I must have misread it because I thought it said the 70s. Anyways, that's where I mess up on his dates and stuff like that. But regardless, it still got moved to Berlin, right? Because we know that Hitler was obsessed with the Spear of Destiny, right? Hitler was 100% obsessed with the Spear of Destiny. Charlemagne the Great had it at one point in time. And what's the Spear of Destiny? The Spear of Destiny is the spear that the Roman centurion, the Roman soldier, who thrust into Christ's side, and the blood and the water poured out. Okay? That's the Spear of Destiny. And whoever possesses this artifact will have the power of the Almighty. Right? It's just like they see the Ark of the Covenant, where people think that if you have possession of the Ark of the Covenant, that you have the power of God in your hands. Right? But that's what Hophni and Phinehas had thought too when they went out to battle the Philistines. Hophni and Phinehas were Eli's sons. That they took over the priesthood and the Spear of Destiny. Maybe I'm like Spear of Destiny. So Hophni and Phinehas, Eli's sons, they took over the priesthood there in Shiloh for the sacrifices that were brought to the temple at Shiloh. And Eli was old and fat, and I feel free to go on about the order of God. No, it's I want to talk about this a little bit. It's all good. We got lots of time. It's all good. So Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas. Eli was old and fat, and he was just basically putting in his days, putting in his time, right? He was retired. I am retired, it's up to them now, right? His sons, they took over the priesthood by virtue of their father, right? It was handed down to them. But that's not, what's that word called? When businesses just hand down the business to their son, even though the son might not be the person to take over the business. It's just not by proxy, but there's a word. Joe says he's the tip of the spear, yeah. And apparently, and possibly, Donald Trump has a Spear of Destiny, right? As per that show that was on the History Channel there, Decoded, where that bodyguard from New York City that was a bodyguard for a very famous billionaire, New York City, and he said that his boss was in possession of the Spear of Destiny, and they were called the B'nai Elohim, the Sons of the Fallen, and they were actually serving the serpent. And the plan was that at a certain point in time, when the temple is rebuilt in Jerusalem, the physical temple that people say, there's not going to be any temple. When the physical temple is built in Jerusalem, that their man is going to go in. And why would they have this at the end of that show after the credits roll, right? After the credits roll, no one's watching at that point in time. They put this part in on the History Channel, okay? Back when they were just in the process of transitioning to Pawn Stars 24/7, and they had this show called Decoded on there, in which they never actually got to any truth or anything like that. They kind of went over everything, but at the end they all conclude, oh, these conspiracies aren't true at all. But at the end of this particular episode, the bodyguard, he says that when their man is going to walk into that temple with the Spear of Destiny in his hand, he's going to walk into the Holy of Holies. He's going to walk up to the Ark of the Covenant. So the Ark of the Covenant is around somewheres, and he's going to prick himself with that spear, and he's going to sprinkle it upon the mercy seat. And that is the abomination of desolation, declaring himself to be God in the temple of God. Okay? Original Greek for Mark of the Beast, go deep. The jab is the spear of destiny. Yeah, the tip of the jab. The word stigma is used, which means stab or jab in English. Of course, God has his way of getting the message across. Yeah, exactly. So, spear of destiny. Hitler was obsessed with it. Donald Trump maybe has it. Don't know. Don't know. But Hitler was obsessed with the occult. Spear of destiny, artifacts giving power. Hophni and Phineas, Eli. Okay, handed down the priesthood. Hophni and Phineas, they were really corrupt, and what they would do is when people would come and bring their sacrifices to the temple, right? They would basically, they had these flesh hooks, okay, basically this handle with these, look like Wolverine or something, right? And when the people would bring their offering, they would, when they put the offering into the pot or whatever like that, the priests, Hophni and Phineas, they would go and they would take their flesh hook, and whatever they could yank out of the pot in that flesh hook, they would take for themselves. And even get to the point where they would tell the people when they came in, like, give me the friggin' cow so I can cut the T-bones off for myself. I want the pork tenderloin. Okay, we'll give God the hooves, right? I'll keep the fat. We'll keep the fat, right? We'll give God the cartilage, right? All the not so pleasant stuff. Because I mean, what does God need this good meat for, right? So they were taking the offerings, and they were actually threatening people. They were saying, "You don't give me that offering. Don't you smash your face in. Give me that. Take it." And then there was the widows, right? They would come and they would be outside the temple and stuff like that, doing their mourning, doing their thing, and often finished like, "Oh, ladies, come on in, ladies. Let the Father bless you," right? And they would have sex with them in the temple. So people began to abhor the offering to God. So if you're in a position where you're causing people to stumble and to turn away from God, just like harming a child, you might as well tie a millstone around your neck and cast it into the ocean, into a lake, into some sort of body of water. Yes. Yeah. Well, no, you're correct. The body is the temple of God. Okay, the body is the temple of God, right? But there is plans for the rebuilding of a temple. Now, I'm not saying that that's the temple of God, right? I'm not saying that, but at the same time, God does says to Ezekiel to measure the temple, right? He talks about that there will be the outer court that's going to be trodden down by the Gentiles, right? So there is a physical third temple coming, but no, it's you're right. People get confused and they get it twisted when you say words, and they get triggered. It's called a slide. That's the CIA term for it, a slide, right? When you say something like conspiracy, right? That's a slide. When people hear conspiracy, it's like the blockers go up and the conversation is done. And there are many of these blockers, these slides that take place today, like where you have to basically code everything that you say to people in order not to trigger them so that they'll continue to listen. I know when I talk about issues with different people and stuff, like, man, like the amount of work that my brain does to avoid using certain words and terms and explaining things, it's really it's really tiring, and it's hard to actually get the truth out to them, because again, you want to be straightforward and forthcoming with them, straightforward and forthcoming, but there are certain things that you're going to say that they're just going to shut off as soon as you say it, right? So it's kind of like you have to figure out where they're at and kind of meet them there, and then kind of initiate them in levels to the truth, right? A true initiation into true knowledge and wisdom. Okay, not a secret initiation, because you are talking with the person in real life. You are giving them the truth, but sometimes you can't handle the truth. They can't handle the truth. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth, right? You can't handle the truth! I failed there because everybody's sleeping upstairs, and so I couldn't actually fully commit to that yell. So I apologize. Apologize, people. I can do a better impression there, but I got to keep it somewhat down. But I am down the dudgeon, so I can talk a little bit louder. Hold on. The living room's right above me. Eating ducks. So on and so forth. So I'm sure I can be heard. He just gave away his location. It doesn't even have to come, though. The abomination desolation is about getting into Christians' bodies and DNA. Yes. Yes, so I'm going to get into that a little bit more. Hey, Linda. How you doing? How you doing, Linda? Good to see you, Linda. Peace. Peace, Linda. Good to see you. So, mRNA jabs in the temple of God. Okay. I get you. I'm just still not there yet. Because, again, there still has to be a third of the world's population that has to be killed. Okay? By the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence, and by the beasts of the earth. Okay? And that's the turning. That there is the turning. The horses, the 4 horses. That is the turning. Okay? Now, yeah, injecting gene-altering material into your body, yeah, that is altering the temple of God. That's not a good thing, but there's lots of things that we put into our bodies that alter our bodies that aren't good for our temple, so to speak. So I'm just not fully convinced about the jabs being that. It's got to be more official. There's going to be more jabs that come out, right, after these jabs. Okay? And they might actually be jabs that supposedly work. Okay? This order of death is taking place because the old perceived order has to be destroyed in order to make way for the new order. And I just don't think that people in general understand what this means, even people that are doing the research, because there's so much information out there, and there's so many people that are in the truth community that are not fully committed to truth, and that they themselves are also deceived, and they're pushing this whole thing, right? And it's like, where you learned your Bible prophecy from, from memes, right? And I don't think that we're there yet. I just don't think. I think that we are in the midst, in the beginning stages of it, but I just don't think we're there. So I'm going to get to that, why I think that. Because everybody says, everybody says that the Jerusalem, that Israel, that they're the whore of Babylon, right? Yo, Braden, how's it going, buddy? I don't think they're meant to work. Yeah, I think you're right, Linda. I think they're meant to not work, so that eventually they can bring out the ones that do work, so people are like, oh, the real technology, right? Now we can really ascend. That's what I believe. So, the Luciferian initiation. Okay? Albert Pike's Third World War, I've talked about this before, says, well, it talks about the First World War and talks about the Second. Look at me, I'm rubbing my hands again. Talks about the First World War and the Second World War. We know what that was for the purpose of, right? To establish communism, right? To establish a Zionist state in Israel, and get the world set up for the Third World War, which ultimately would engulf the whole world. If the dead could talk, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. So, it says that we're going to unleash the nihilists, right? The destroyers of civilization. It's going to be Christianity versus Islam, or Zionism versus Islam. It's going to be Christianity versus atheism. It's going to be communism versus nationalism, right? It's going to be all of these different isms that we know of today that are going to come together in a major social cataclysm, which we see the birthing of right now. But the general population, okay, is going to come to an understanding about this particular threat, okay? And when they rise up to destroy the threat, they're going to be left without a compass to know where to turn to, right? Because every institution that they know of the old order, deceived them and was full of corruption, right? And it is destroyed, it's burnt in the fire, and from the ashes, okay, people will be searching for an ideal, and that ideal will be the pure doctrine of Lucifer. That's when the mark of the beast will truly come in, because we haven't been fully initiated into it yet. Okay? The initiation process is the build-up to the actual mark, in my opinion. So, aliens, a group of light beings coming to this earth, right, to give mankind the knowledge, the light, multiple Hegelian dialects. That's right. That's where it is, and they have so many of them going on at the same time, so that they'll all destroy themselves. That's the whole point. So that you're forced to pick a side. Whatever it is, you'll pick a side, and it'll be complete chaos, calamity, and only once that entire swath of isms is destroyed will people be able to move forward, because there's no moving forward at this point in time unless by massive death and destruction. So the ultimate plan in the New World Order, right, is to have people to accept the New World Order religion, okay? And to enter the New World Order religion, Christians will have to abdicate their beliefs. Okay? We're going to have to... What you drinking, Peter? Coffee. Yeah, ground up bottom there. She's coffee. I like my coffee. But I'm like ADHD, so coffee don't do much to me. I can drink this coffee and then like 10 minutes later I'm like... So Christians will have to abdicate their beliefs. Why? Why is that? Well, you can't have Christians in the New World Order. That's the one group you can't have. Okay? Everybody else will accept the New World Order, but true Christians. Okay? Who's a true Christian? There's lots of Christians out there that are so-called Christians that, you know, don't hold any truths of God, right? That don't hold to the gospel, that don't cling to a traditional understanding of the written record of Jesus Christ, right? And so a lot of those so-called Christians, they're just going to be part of the fodder, right? Because the surface level Christianity, that ism, is meant to be destroyed. That's because we follow God's law. That's right. That's right, God's law. And a lot of churches, okay, they're making their move to be part of the one world religion system, okay? Because that's the only way that they're going to make it through, okay? So, Benjamin Creme, he talked about the Christ consciousness and the arrival of Maitreya Buddha, okay? The world teacher, right? And the ascended masters, okay? And, he's in the ilk with the likes of, David Spangler, Alice Bailey, and Helena Blavatsky, HPB, right? Ugly, hateful looking old bitch. And they've all said that the initiation will be on a world basis, okay? World basis. So it's not a secret initiation. It's for everybody to be brought into this, okay? And the new organized Christian church, right? The mainstream church, what is known as mainstream Christianity, okay? In many cases, holds the same tenets as a Masonic lodge, okay? Or any other secret society. You ever notice that? Do you ever notice the similarities that go between these different groups? They're supposedly on opposite sides, but yet they all have the same kind of organization, and they all end up leading to that same position. They're all pushing the same agenda of one world, unified world, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'd love for us to all be unified, but it's got to be under Jesus Christ when he returns, the one who was here before. Because remember, Jesus also said that, I come in my name and you receive me not, but when another comes in my name, him you will receive. And he was talking to the Jews. He was talking to the Jews when he said that. So, is the Antichrist going to be Jewish Uberman? Is that what it's going to be?
So,
the Luciferian initiation, that's what it is. It's based on a Luciferian initiation. So what needs to be understood is that it won't be possible for you to hold tight to your Christian beliefs in the New World Order. It will be completely impossible because you're going to have to accept the Christ consciousness, right? You're going to have to accept the world teachers. You're going to have to accept these ascended masters that come and say to you that, well, Jesus wasn't really the Son of God. He was a prophet, and he did carry the message through the ages, just as, Buddha and Gandhi and, Martin Luther King, Marxist Lucifer King, and all these other ones, right? And that's not the belief in Christianity. Jesus Christ is not like those men, okay? When they asked Jesus, hey, have you come to bring peace? He said, peace? No, I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. I came to cause division. For a daughter to turn against her mother. For a father to turn against his son. For the stepdaughter against the mother-in-law, right? For houses to betray one another. I've come to cause division, not unity. The Antichrist is what wants to bring unity. Well, impossible. Impossible. Jesus Christ will come and bring peace. Yeah, with war. With war. he will make peace through war. Right? He will make peace through war with the destruction of the Antichrist and his armies. Okay? So, those who do not accept the New World Order, okay, they will be rejected. They will be shipped off. Where? They'll be removed. Where? To the concentration camps. You know, those re-education camps we've been talking about during this whole COVID thing? Because we talk about COVID camps, right? The COVID camps are going to be initiation into our conscience of the future camps that will come. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think so. Because again, the timeline that these things happen is very successive, okay? People say that the 7-year tribulation is 7 years, okay? Well, I'm going to tell you something. The first 3.5 years of that tribulation, you aren't going to realize that you're in it. It's only going to be when the Antichrist makes himself known to the world that we're like, oh, we're in it. Shoot, we're in it, right? That's when the tribulation happens, because in the beginning, again, he goes out in secret. The white horse goes out conquering and conquering. He has a bow. He's got no arrows in his quiver. He's going out to conquer and to conquer. He's doing it by means of not war, but on a white horse, perceiving to be a man of peace. Okay? Then the red horse gets released, and what does he do? He brings a sword so that men would kill one another. And then the black horse comes, and then the rider's got a pair of balances in his hand, a measure of wheat for a penny, right? And a day's work for a penny. And see that ye touch not the oil and the wine. So he's going to bring stability, some sort of stability in a time of absolute chaos and economic crash, right? But that's going to cause a lot of problems too, right? Because basically you're going to be working for your meal, your next meal. You're going to work a whole day just to be fed. That's the, you'll own nothing and be happy. Okay? And then after the black horse comes the pale horse, the green horse, the bay horses. And the rider on him was death, and hell followed with him. Death and hell followed with him. But that's only the first 4 seals, guys. That's only the first 4 seals. You understand this? He's making his moves to establish himself. And at that point, then we'll know that we're in it. Okay? Because, again, at the beginning of World War I, the beginning of World War II, and probably every other major war, right? People thought, oh, this is it. We're in the midst of it. But they weren't. But they were all preambles building up to it, right? Because it's a progression and evolution of things. And that's what the order of death is. And the New World Order religion is just the old world religion. The mystery schools, right, that have been around. The statue of Daniel. So, take a break here for a second. Let's check out the chat, see what everybody's saying. Great. Thanks for sharing your time and knowledge. Thank you for joining us if the dead could talk. You already got the Pope sucked in. Oh, yeah. The Pope, he led the World Council of Churches and World Religions back there in the early 90s when they had all the different shamans and priests and all the mullahs and all these different ones, the monks and all that, all on stage, all giving prayers, right, to the one for unity, right? Jesus said there would be deceit first. We're already seeing it. That's right. We are seeing deceit, lots of it. But there's always been deceit, right? Everything that is going on now has always been going on. It's just now being revealed to us. It's being brought out to the light, and there's a reason why they're bringing it out in the light. And we know this because we can see that some of the people that are bringing this information to the light, that they're not all necessarily on the up and up, right? They've got their agendas. So those who do not accept the New World Order, you'll be going into re-education camps. And those camps, okay, when you read these documents back in the day, they were color coded, okay? A rainbow colored classification will be used for the New World Order prisoner, right? The whole LGBT flag is rainbow. The whole Noahide laws flag is rainbow. I feel like the rainbow flag for the LGBT, I feel like that is basically their mark of destruction, because they have the rainbow, and they'll not be accepted in the New World Order either. I think they're just marking themselves for destruction. The rainbow is considered the bridge symbol leading to the satanic New World Order. Okay? So they abuse God's word and the bow that God put in the sky as a symbol that he would never flood the earth again. And they use it for their own pride and their own ignorance and for their own agenda, because God said that he wouldn't flood the earth again. So, yeah. So, classifications. This is where we've been talking about this stuff, and people have been talking about this stuff, and you see, the whole Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Ghislaine, and the child sex trafficking, the pedophile rings, pedophiles in all the high places of government, right? Because we wrestle not against flesh, but the rulers of darkness of this world, right? Of wickedness in high places, powers, right? And those powers that have these people in these positions, they get them to do really bad and disgusting things, because that is what bonds them together, so that their minds are committed to do this thing. Okay? And because they have accepted that temptation, their conscience has been seared with a hot iron, and they no longer control themselves, but they have been taken over, and they're basically vessels for destruction. And they're just carrying out the mission of their Father. Okay. This is where it gets bad. So, classification. For children, Christian children, as they plan it, again, what does it mean by Christian? Okay, that's, you can put that up in the air. But the plan is that they're going to use the children for human sacrifice, right? Just as the altars of Baal back in the day, just as we see the altars of Baal being resurrected by abortion, and now to the point where they're, seething. They just can't wait to get these jabs into the kids' arms, and then want to take children away from people because they don't want the jabs into their arms. And you see what people are, rejecting jabs going into their children's arms. It's not all people that consider themselves Christian, although it's a lot. I know the Christians that I know, that I get along with, none of them are allowing it. None of them are taking it, right? It's only those Christians who want to fit in with the world, right? These mainstream Christians that want to go along with it all, right? They're going along hook, line, and stinker. So they want to use these children as human sacrifices. Why? Because they're the innocent, right? And again, what an affront to Christ, who said anybody who would harm one of these children, he would be better for him to tie a millstone around his neck and be casted into the lake, right into the ocean. But yet these people are fully committed to this abomination, the destruction of these children. Aleister Crowley said, "Give me all the young boys of Britain, and in a generation I can have them turned." That's what he did, right? We are living in Aleister Crowley's friggin' wet dream of abuse of children. You know what one of his fantasies was? One of Aleister Crowley's fantasies, you can see this playing out in the world right now, is that one of his fantasies was to be abused and tortured by hateful, ugly women. Well, there's a whole lot of hateful, ugly women running around trying to boss everybody around, isn't there? Trying to abuse people. Isn't that funny? In a not ha-ha sort of way? In a, what a disgusting frigger he was. So through black mass ceremonies, okay, they'll get them to participate and, you know, do stuff that I'm not going to talk about. And they want to keep them as slaves, sexual slaves. They want to abuse them. They want to murder them. Why? Because they want to destroy their souls, because that's what they do. They traffic in the souls of men. These people, they want to traffic in the souls of men. They want to destroy the innocent. They want to grind the poor into the dirt because they're evil and because they're committed to this. Why? Well, because they're doing these things. They're committing these abominations. So what other place is there to go but be part of the order of death for them? Classification 2, okay? Prisoners to be used as medical experiments where drugs and new technologies will be tested on them. Do we see that going on today? We do, don't we? New technologies are testing on drugs that are tested on us, right? They've used this stuff since MK Ultra, since all this, you know, the LSD and everything like that, and all these drugs and stuff like that, mind-altering drugs. They've been bringing this stuff in to cloud people's minds, to have them not be sober-minded. And hey, listen, don't, trust me, I've been in that world. I've done that stuff. Not drugs I'm talking about. You know? Like, I did salvia before. Crazy. I was like, the guy that had it, he's like, yeah, man, like, buddy, he like had a watch, and his watch turned into a rocket and like flew him to the moon. Yeah, right, bud, just give me that pipe. Oh man, insane. One of the most terrifying experiences in my life. LSD, acid, don't have nothing on that. Acid, what that just made me do is turn me into an Uberman. Like, I'm gonna throw this football and run and catch it. I'm gonna paddle in this canoe down a river, right? A rushing river, standing up. Hey, how's it going? Standing in a canoe. That stuff is used to keep you not sober, to get you thinking about other things and put you on other planes of consciousness, okay? It's to initiate you, okay? It's to get you ready for the drugs that they're going to administer into you, right? Because they want to, you know, they put out the whole LSD and the weed and all these different drugs, right, on a recreational level, right? And they get people used to taking them. And then eventually they're just going to start putting that stuff in different products, right? And testing them on, right? So that you think you're sober, but you're like, you're drinking a can of Coke that's got like some LSD in it, right? You're literally eating food, right, that has this mRNA crap in it, right? They're altering you via their drugs, and they're putting it in the food, they're putting it in the water, they're putting it in soda, they're putting in all kinds of things, not just injections, right? And what is that meant to do? It's meant to frig you up so you can't think right. Classification 3. Classification of healthy prisoners for the International Human Organ Center. Right? Where vital organs will be removed one by one while they will be maintained in life with special life support systems. Right? Have you not heard that one before? Where they plan on putting you in the pod and hooking you up to the matrix? Right? Keeping you alive just in order to extract your essence, right? And all this stuff. Pod oil helped my hub's cancer. I did a lot of research on her, so. Oh, hey, no, listen. I understand natural medicine. I'm not knocking it, but there's the synthetic stuff that they're putting out, right? That's like not good. I'm not against natural medicine. Not against natural medicine. Trust me, I've smoked my share, and then other people share, and other people share. Trust me, I'm not knocking that. It's helped me a lot too. It also, at the same time as it's helped me, can also be a crutch and kind of keep you from really kind of getting to the heart of everything, right? Because it does keep you to a certain point numb, right? You can understand the truth and everything like that, and you can get a lot of ideas and everything like that, and you can think clearly, and it can calm you down and everything like that. But it also has different effects, right? It also does have effects on your psyche. So I'm not knocking anybody that smokes weed or anything like that. I'm not a hypocrite like that. I'm not a hypocrite, Linda. I'm glad the oil helped you. I'm glad. That's one thing I never did. I never did any of the hemp oils or anything like that. But so for organ harvesting, right? Removed while you're still maintaining life. So they keep you alive so they can take the organs out of you. Alex Jones said that stuff before. Then there's another classification where classification is for all healthy underground workers. Okay, the New World Order is a basic worldwide dictatorship based on the Luciferian religion. Okay, and it has a appearance of international democracy, right? That's what they want you. They want to bring in all this stuff with this flavor of democracy, like, hey, we're all in it together. We're all working together, right? Meanwhile, Apple has suicide nets and slave camps, and there's slaves being sold on blocks in Libya and North Africa, and there's sex islands off in the in the Pacific and everything like that. There's just all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on in the dark, right? But in order to maintain this democracy illusion, because we are an illusion, right? And these camps and the slave labor, they'll be hidden from the populations, right? They won't be made known. They'll deny, no, there's no camps. Nobody's going to any camps, right? There'll be the we see the quarantine camps now that we know some people are at, but they're still denying that these things exist, right? They're still denying it. So what will these camps that are being built, will they truly end up being used for, Coronu deniers. Is that what they're doing? I think the jab is a definitely a form of initiation, but I think it's kind of the initiation aspect where they're looking to call all of those people because they want a certain type of people to come out of this, and it's not these retards. Not everybody that took it's a retard. I'm not saying that. A lot of people coerced and so on and so forth, but the ones that are dead set for it, straight ahead like a freight train rolling down the track, right? These people, they're too easily led, right? They're not people that you actually want if you're building a army, okay? Because they're weak. Yo, Mark of the Wilderness of Melbourne. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hope all is well with you, my brother. So they're going to keep this illusion of democracy, and they're going to have these camps and these slave labor, and it's all going to be hidden from the population of the earth, right? Just like in the Gulag Archipelago, right? And the H-man, right? Nobody believed those camps, right? Until Eisenhower took the or was it Eisenhower or was it Patton there? Who was it that took the Germans there to the camps and showed them? I'm not going to get into the Holocaust right now. Right? Something did happen there, and it all had a reason, and it was for the progression of this new world order, right? And I think part of the whole deception of all of that, right, is to kind of basically create in people's minds who the enemy is, so that in the future, when they actually do commit the true Holocaust, that people will be set to think, hey, we're the good guys getting rid of these bad people, right, who are not human. Okay? So they put that, they created it in people's minds, and through propaganda and Netflix and all this, with movie after movie and documentary after documentary, they got people to choose what side is good and what side is bad, and then so in the future they can say, oh, these are those guys and we are these guys, right? And these guys are the bad guys. So that's what they're doing. That's how they're classifying people. So classification number 5, this is on certain prisoners in international re-educational centers, okay, where they will be re-educated in order to repent themselves on worldwide television, and where they will learn how to glorify the virtues of the New World Order for humanity. This here is one of those things where in Christianity, we've been taught that when we go before God on the day of judgment, that everything in our life is going to be revealed like a movie. Okay? And I always thought, why would God do that? And I never really accepted that whole concept until I read this stuff, and then realized that that's what the New World Order plans on doing. That they plan on bringing out the throne of judgment, whereby you have to repent at the altar and repent of your old belief system, and in order to be accepted into the New World religion. And that's where the sacrifice of Christians and those who don't readily accept the mark of the beast, that's going to come into play. So if you're captured in the New World Order, then you are going to have to be brought up just like Hunger Games kind of situation. And all of your, because technological control grid will be there where everything that you do and say and think and whatnot is tracked and traced and recorded. So all that's going to be readily available for them. And they can use that against you because, again, once they publicly shame you in front of the world, right, you're marked with a different kind of mark, right? And so then you really have to accept and repent or deny the New World Order and be, right? So you have to glorify the virtues of the New World Order and this whole thing of virtue signaling, right? That we just came about in the last few years. So it's all part of the initiation. And then there's another classification, and that's the classification where people are sent to the execution centers. And those details are not yet available from that article that I read so long ago. But I read these classifications years ago, like I'm talking at least 10 years ago. And that whole idea has been around even longer than that. And we can see this stuff playing out in front of our eyes today. So there's a Project Enoch that's out there. And that was something that has always put up a flag for me, because I remember I looked up the Book of Enoch, and for a while, I got into that. Oh, this cool, right? And then I came across this Project Enoch. And once I came across that, I was kind of like, interesting. So, the Book of Knowledge. The Keys of Enoch is known as the Bible of the New Age movement, and is a textbook that states the issues of the future in a spiritual and scientific prose. Okay? Enochian magic. Okay, that's one of the oldest forms of magic that's been around. Enochian magic. And the keys examine the puzzles. I'm just reading here. The keys examine the puzzles of life and give a spiritual explanation as to why we exist in this reality. In essence, it provides both the scenario of an ongoing past, present, future cosmology and a blueprint for a new direction in humankind's evolution into a higher state of consciousness. Okay? Everything that is going on now is happening, but is a deception and is also an illusion that's running parallel with the actual scenario. Okay? That's why I always say, I got a video, End Times False Times Bible Prophecy, right? Because the enemy understands a little bit about Bible prophecy and the fact that they know how to manipulate it to suit their agenda, right? And if you don't know the Bible, then you don't fully comprehend and spiritually discern what the end times is all about. So when somebody comes along and starts talking about the end times, and because you're so used to everybody shutting off and not wanting to talk about it, that when you hear people talking about the end times and the mark of the beast and the New World Order and everything like that, then you're ready to listen and stuff, right? And so they're running a game parallel with what's actually happening, and it's to bring a lot of confusion, and that's what goes along with the whole rapture deception. Right. Yo, you too, Pete. I had to start a new server. I'm like, what's that? The dial-up sound was going through my head when I read your message, Mark. If you can explain that a little better in the comment section for my boomer mind, that would be much appreciated. But Marco, check out his channel, Mark of Melbourne too. Um, he's living in a yurt. He built a yurt, and he's got himself a nice off-grid setup. Really cool. Good man. Smart man. Good friend. Talked to him on the phone. Like, it's pretty awesome, you know, this whole community and people that I've met on the internet who, you know, I would never have met otherwise. And the relationships that you actually do form, it's really quite amazing, right? And I really appreciate them. And I really, you know, thank the Lord that I've met these people, because besides God keeping me sane, right, and my family and whatnot, it's like you have to have outlets. And you have so many people in your life that just, they don't have any concept of what's going on, and they don't want to hear it, they don't want to talk about it. And then when you actually find other people, like literally I'm going across the globe finding people to talk about these things with. Like when I started YouTube, the first people I got hooked up with were friggin' Aussies. Mark of Melbourne too, at the Enigma Report, right? And I thank the Lord for letting me meet these people, and through them, right? They brought a bunch of people to my channel, and now here in Canada, not basically at one point in time thinking, I don't think anybody else looked at this stuff in Canada, right? Like I remember searching stuff out on YouTube, like just like typing stuff like Canadian Conspiracy Theory channel, or you know, just different Canadian truther channels, and you couldn't find nothing for years. Like, and I would get no suggestions, nothing like that. And I didn't know there was anybody. And then it was all of a sudden Plaid Army, huh? Derek Rance, East Coast Canadian, Raging Dissident, what? Slippin' Lizard, who? What? There's a group? Plaid Army, what is this? Right? And so, of course, I was skeptical, very skeptical at first, because it's like, where do these people come from, right? Like, I've been here this whole time, and there's this whole group over here doing their thing. I had no idea about them. So, trying to make friends with people that already have an established group, and you've been doing your thing on the side by yourself for so long, it's like, it's, you know, it's hard to kind of get in, but you know, over time you start by just chatting a little bit and stuff like that, and of course people are wary of you and whatnot, like who's this guy, right? Who's this Fed, right? Because I'm sure that I kind of look fetish, but I promise you I'm not. The only government job that I've had was when I worked in corrections for 4 years, but I left that to go to Bible college, and then I left Bible college after a couple years once I got married, and I had to start working again and not paying off any student loan, and the fact that I understood that when I went to Bible college that it wasn't actually the path that God wanted me to be on, but it was what I thought God wanted for me. And then I realized that, okay, God is going to use this for another reason, but not quite the reason that I thought he was going to. Anyways, I get all sidetracked and whatnot. All sidetracked. Easily sidetracked and can go down different rabbit holes. But so this higher state of consciousness, was I talking about anything else? Was there anything else that I was just trying to say that I totally messed up on? I'll mention this before I go back to it. Mark of Melbourne, he's got an off-grid spot, and I just seen Armchair talking about going off grid and how we need to get off grid. Yeah, we all got to do it. We got to start figuring that out. Why? Not because you're trying to run away from anything. No, we need to establish ourselves small, autonomous communities again that are outside of this operating system. Because if we don't do that, we're going to continue to run in this system. And again, as it says in Revelation, come out of her, my people, right? And be not a partaker of her plagues, right? This is us beginning to come out of that Babylonian cult, that Babylonian religion, right? That we are currently living in, right? We are living in Babylon, so to speak. Love your planked wall, Peter. Thank you. It's a nice little cellar. It's great. It's great. It's warm. It's warmer down here than it is upstairs in my garage right now. I got all of our canned goods, all of our beets and our salsas and tomato sauces and soups and applesauce and carrots and beans and pickles and pickled beans and sauerkraut and spaghetti squash and pumpkins and zucchinis, the zooks. We got them all down here because it's keeping them at a nice temperature, so nothing rots or freezes and thaws or anything like that. So it's great. We had 2 winters ago. I was talking about this I think 2 streams ago, and I never got to finish it because the stream came out and I ended off. So what happened was there was one winter where we get snow, and then we get all kinds of rain, and it would just melt all the snow, right? But in the process of melting all the snow on these rainy nights, you know, water's got to go somewheres, right? And just like through these glaciers that you see in, Antarctic and stuff, these big rivers of ice that have flowed, these melts that just continue, water's continually running through them and melting and going over top of them. Well, that's what was happening here, right? The water's got to go somewhere, so it's going under the snow. It's making channels through the snow. I live on a side hill, so all this water is coming down against the back of the house, and then it's running around the house and running right in front of the garage. And because of time and ground erosion, where it was set up to where there was a little bit of a level, but with different gravel and stuff that's been put on the driveway over years, it's more so it's kind of tilted like this. So now instead of the water running away, it's gonna run right into the garage and run right down to the basement. And that's what it was doing. And also that year, there's a brook right beside the house coming off the hill, and that was all frozen up right to the top of the bank. So the water was so all the water that would run off the hill would run right over top of that, and then it would just cascade down and hit the side of the house, and it was running through the other side of the garage and the other garage door and running through the garage. So literally had a river and flood zone down here in the basement. And that happened 3 different nights, and I would be out in the rain moving friggin' silage bales on the corner of the house and friggin' making snow dams, right? And diversions and diverting water and everything away from the house, and like setting up little snow banks just to divert the water, right? And event, stuff would still come through, but had to do something. So hopefully this year we don't have one like that. I don't think we are. I think it's going to be a cold winter. I think we're going to maybe have a lot of snow. I'm hoping that we don't get the precipitation that we got that year. So, are you out west, Peter? No, Linda, I'm the exact opposite of out west. I am out east. I am out east. How do you get your meat? I murder it. No. Farmers usually get meat from farmers and butcher shop. I can still go down the grocery store, so the convenience of that, I go there too. But you got local farmers and different guys around that they sell beef and different and pork and different stuff like that. So I try to get bulk stuff as much as I can and whatnot. I just don't get to hunt as much as I'd like to. Well, none at all, in fact. But I do have moose meat still in the freezer from last year and whatnot that me and the boys got when we were out. Are you East Coaster? I married a Newfoundlander. Well, you married a good man. New dude about it. Camo, how's it going, buddy? So, living off grid. My project for this winter is to, if we got, boom, if I got time, I'm gonna make the time. I'm gonna go and spend a lot of time out in the woods, as much time as I can, out in the woods at an undisclosed location, and I'm hoping that we've got at least another year. I'm hoping we got at least another year of just this kind of sitting around patty cake bullcrap. And this winter, my plan is to build a smaller shelter, one that can be stayed in and whatnot, and just kind of basically get that under my belt and get the experience and kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And then after that, begin in the springtime building the real deal. And got some windows that we got for free that people, they had got some new windows in their place, and so they had put it on Facebook that they had some free windows. If anybody wants to come get them, so my wife went and grabbed those. So we got windows. I just went and got a nice wood stove there. Some of the boys from around here, some of the bigots, Randall, Sparky, he came and gave me a big hand, and my buddy D Murphy, and I appreciate those two guys. I just met them here in the last 6 months or so, and good friends, good men. Appreciate them. Appreciate them much for helping me, and hope that I can help them in ways as well. And loyal dudes, stand on principle. So get yourself in a position where you can start getting something ready. It's not about fleeing, right? Right? It's not about just running off and hiding, but we got to start getting out of this, right? Because just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? You know, the men and the boys, they were all going to Lot's house and they were all demanding that he send out the men that came to visit him, the angels, so that they could have their way with them, so they could sodomize them. How else is that but by pure pedophilia that the men and the boys all wanted to have sex with those angels, right? Where do I learn to build shelters? YouTube videos? Yeah, man. Just look at off-grid shelters. Like there's thousands of videos and different ways to do them. And like if you had a thought in your head and it's like, oh, I could do that, but it's like, no, that wouldn't work. Or we have these concepts of how people build houses today and everything like that. You have to have it the code, and you gotta have this, and you gotta have that, and all this stuff like that. And then you watch these videos, these guys that have built these shelters and whatnot, and you think about how the pioneers did it and everything like that, and it's like, no, you just need time. You need some friggin' sweat, and you need the tools to do it. And whether or not it's power tools or you're working all manual with hand tools. I plan on building mine with hand tools because I'm doing it as cheap as possible. I'll use my chainsaw a bit and stuff like that, right? To get around some stuff, obviously. But I'm going to be mostly using hand tools because I don't want to have to buy a bunch of stuff. I want to use everything off the land that I can, right? And that's the whole point, because I don't get the money. I don't get the money to just go out and because you look at shelters now to build them, and it's like, we built our tiny shelter for $20,000. Like, well, that's good for you. I don't got $20,000, right? And these people, they got the money to do it, right? And good for them, right? And they're like, ha, 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 we're having so much fun, right? But it's like, no, I'm not in it for. I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to have fun doing it, but it's going to It's going to be a lot of work, and they obviously put a lot of work into it too. But it's, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. I'm going. I'm going as pioneers as possible. So, if you can find yourself a piece of land and you know some people that are also trying to get off grid, then you know, link up, get something going, right? One thing that we got to realize is that we're being brought together with people that we might not otherwise have ever met or knew if this situation hadn't come up, right? Because we all have people in our lives that have separated themselves from us, right? Over everything that's going on. And you got to find the people that are actually on the same side, the same mind as you in order to survive this. Because again, like I said in one of my last videos about cutting off the dead wood, if you don't cut off the dead wood when you get to a certain point, these are going to be the people that snitch you out. These are going to be people that get the authorities after you, right? That plot your destruction, right? So, higher state of consciousness, moving on. The Keys of Enoch teaches that a greater unity can and must occur between the scientific and spiritual pathways. Okay? Right now we're looking at a scientific dictatorship, okay? With no spiritual essence to it. The two have to be combined. Because right now science is being led by, well, it was atheists, but we see these atheists, they're turning spiritual, right? Because even in Albert Pike's World War III scenario, atheism has no place in the New World Order, right? If you're an atheist, you're not going to be an atheist for much longer, because you're either going to be cut off or you're going to be jumping on the Antichrist train, because you're just waiting for proof to come, right? And the Antichrist and the false prophet are going to be coming with all kinds of signs and wonders, right? UN will just take it anyways. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like that's the whole thing. My whole thing about getting away from society is just because I don't want to have anything to do with Sodom and Gomorrah anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with Babylon anymore. And I want to be with people that love the Lord and love each other and are working together in that unity. Okay, working together to help one another and bringing other people into it, right? To make autonomous communities, right? But eventually, they're going to come for you too, right? That's why I've said before, this whole scenario is like you go and you prepare and you build the bunker and you get all the pallets of ammo and guns and you get all the food, you get all the supplies, you're all prepped right to the friggin' tits. And then you step out of your shelter and they're like, there's a target, commence drone strike, and they just freaking hellfire missile you, right? Oop. There goes 10 years of prepping. But, we've got to do something anyways, right? We've still got to keep busy and try to work outside the system, because they might come for you, they might not. Different areas, different scenarios, different things are going to be taking place. I was praying my best years were ahead of me. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, because I've got children, and I don't know who else in the chat's got children, but I got 3 little girls. I got, you think I want this for them? When my wife and I got married, my thought back then, 10 years ago, think about this. I have such a great wife, such a great woman that God's given me, that the day that we got married 10 years ago, November 19th, 10 years from that date was the day that she gave up her career. when she married me 10 years later, she'd be giving up her career. How freaking crazy is that? Like, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And what a blessing, what a woman. Like, not to mention that she's put up with me for 10 years. You know, she's had to endure all the conspirium, right, with me, and, you know, to see where she's come at this point in time is freaking crazy. And we, you know, when we first got married, we didn't have any kids until the second year. And in my mind, I was like, I had this part of me that I didn't want to have any kids because I knew what was coming down the line. And so I didn't want to have children because we didn't know what the world was going to be like. But then it was like, we both agreed that it's like, well, we can't just live like that, right? We can't just live in that state of fear where we don't continue on with life, right? So we had our children, knowing what was coming ahead. So if they think, right, they didn't stop me from having kids, and if they think that they're gonna fucking take my kids, and abuse them and do anything to them, they get another fucking thing coming, I'll tell you that much. Because I'll tell you, the first person that comes on my property that's looking for my kids, that'll be the last thing that they see. Last thing they'll see is me coming towards them. Stick something right in your throat. Yeah, do you like that? Do you like that? And I'm not the only one that's like that. I'm not a vet, never been in the military, never been to war. But I got that same mentality. I got the same mentality. I'm cut from the same cloth. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I know there's others out there too. That you're not going to allow your family, your children, your wife, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your neighbors to be abused by these people. And you'll fight for them. Because there's no greater love than he who lays down his life for his friends. No greater love. Because that's what you do when you love somebody. Because that's what Jesus Christ did. He laid down his life for the whole world, so that they would just believe that they would be saved. Right? Now it's our turn to pick up that cross and to bear it. And I've been committed for a long time, trying to get myself in that place so that when it comes time, that I don't fall away, that I don't deny my Lord, that I follow him onto the death. So the scientific and spiritual pathways in order for the problems of the earth to be solved, right? What are they saying? That all the fluoride in the water, it's blocking our pineal gland, right? Our pineal gland, that's, you know, we need to open up to get raise our consciousness, right? Our third eye. I'm not coming against anybody that's looking into that stuff, because I understand that stuff. I understand the allure of it, because it's opposite to what they're trying to get us to do. Okay? So think about it. Because BLM, are they raising their consciousness? No. They're bringing them down to the level of brute beast. Antifa, are they raising their consciousness? No, they're bringing them down to brute beast. These Marxists and leftists, what are they doing? Are they Are they raising their consciousness? No. They're being brought down to a low frequency level of dumb beasts that can be led around, that can be used to cause destruction and mayhem, and then eventually will be called off. Because they ain't going to be in the New World Order. They don't want them. They're just useful idiots till their destruction, right? I mean, what happened to the Brown Shirts? The Brown Shirts got Hitler in power, and what happened immediately when Hitler took power? Dunzo. Gone. Liquidated. And he instituted his order of death. I'm not pro H-Man. I'm not pro H-Man. But I'm also not pro narrative either. Okay? That whole thing was an occult ritual where you got two sides. And what was formed out of it? The United Nations. Your centrism. Right? So to speak. So, its ultimate purpose is the advancement of humanity. Are they trying to advance humanity right now? No, we see that there's a global genocide taking place. This ain't the advancement of humanity. Because again, it's after the Great Reset is taking place, okay? So up until the reset button is hit, it's just chaos. But once they hit the reset button, then it's, hey, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows never stops, and na, 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 we're together, right? The age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, Aquarius, right? Good to see everybody chatting in the chat. That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Good people. Good times. So now, man, I get distracted. Like I haven't got through this paragraph in the last friggin' hour. How long have I been going? 1 hour and 52 minutes I've been going here. And I feel like I'm just getting started. All night stream, everybody? No, let's get. So the advancement of humanity with the goal of changing our orientation. Our orientation. Albert Pike's Third World War. They want to change our orientation. Okay? Our moral compass that's been, rocked with everything that we understand is a deception. Right? Searching for an ideal. They want to reorient us so that we are prepared for a higher spiritual attunement and a quantum shift that will move humanity and the earth forward into the next step of our evolution. It's all that coffee. Maybe, eh? Maybe. But I'll sleep well tonight. Like I'll go to bed, and when I decide I'm going to go to sleep, I'll just go to sleep. So, iPet Goat 2. The little egghead. The broken skull, right? Like, what's that band with the skull, with the red and the blue and the lightning bolt? What is that? What band is that? What band is that, chat? Somebody mentioned it in the chat, maybe. Grateful Dead. Was the Grateful Dead? Skull, red, blue, lightning bolt. That's the quantum shift, people. That's the quantum shift. The egghead in the iPet Goat 2. Cracked head, open skull, just a bastion for thoughts and crazy emotions and everything going on. You see that he's got this snake creature monitor thing following around telling him, like, kill yourself, hate, everything sucks, everything's terrible, die, right? But then by the end of it, when the Christ comes out on the out of the giant vagina cave on the little boat there with the Anubis. When he comes out of the cave at that point in time, the skull kid, the little egghead boy, he's on the ground because he's, I just can't take this anymore, right? And that's almost like an example of all of us, right? That we've just been inundated with all this stuff and this destruction and chaos, and then we're waiting for a time of change, a turning, so to speak. And then when that Christ figure exits that cave, the boy, he gets up all of a sudden, and that snake monitor with that, evil entity that's been haunting him slithers away, and then the boy stands up and is able to open his eyes, and suddenly he knows what his purpose is. So this stuff is going to be somewhat unpopular, I think, with people, because in the whole truth movement, I believe that they're pushing us to this thought where they're trying to run us into the ground so that we throw off everything and accept the Messiah that's coming, who's not the true Messiah, but the false Messiah. So moving us forward into our next step of evolution in this process, okay, the ultimate interaction is foretold as we discover greater families of intelligence in the universe who share the same higher evolution and the same divine source, the essence, right? The essence, the Christ consciousness, because that's what's happened in the video, right? The Christ consciousness is coming out as the old world is being destroyed, right? As fires being rained down, right? Just like, the false prophet, he's going to bring down fire in the sight of men, perform many miracles. He's going to do things that are going to convince people that, hey, this guy and this prophet, these are the saviors of humanity. These are the ascended masters. These are the brothers of light. This is the great white brotherhood. Okay? And that's where I think that we're leading to. We're leading to this spot where they're going to have this great big war. Great big war. And out of the ashes of that war, that's where the New World Order will come. Because during this war, it's going to appear like the New World Order, that order is being destroyed. And that is prepping people for the true New World Order, which will have the true mark of the beast. And what we're going through right now is this initiation process into that, right? But this initiation process is basically the lower level initiation to the true initiation into the Luciferian order, because it can't come without the old order, what's perceived as the old order, being destroyed. And part of that will be the Christian, so to speak, religion, and all of these other religions being destroyed, right? So what else are we going to talk about here relating to the same thing here? I want to go to a different spot here. I'm going to talk about some of these different orders and different groups, okay? Because this is kind of how this is why it's all initiation. So I wish I could put it on screen here, this little chart. And this is why I say that we get locked into different things that are going on, because there's so many different heads to this Hydra, right? And leads to so many different directions that you can focus on one side, but you don't really get the true picture of the whole thing, right? So you can basically say the New Age movement, okay? The New Age movement, or no, we'll go to the ancient mystery religion, okay? We'll start at the top. Basically, it's like a trickle-down effect to the New Age religion, New Age movement. So the ancient mystery religions, that's what you have first. The mystery schools, where all of the pagan religions and orders of the past, where they all got their info. And where'd they get that info? Doctrines of devils, demons that have given this stuff, this information, this knowledge to man over the centuries. Doctrines of devils. When the pagans and when these other religions, when they sacrificed onto devils, literal devils. They're gods that they served and they worship, right? The altar of Baal, right? The altar of Molech, right? Ashtaroth, all these ones. These are the ancient mystery schools, the ancient mystery religions, and they have been carried down throughout the ages. That's why there's nothing new under the sun, and all of these religions all end up practicing the same thing, which ultimately ends up leading to this giant ritualistic sacrifice of their population in order to advance themselves to the next level. That's why every time there's a Holocaust. So the ancient mystery religions, right? You got Babylon and Egypt and Greece, right? They're all these different forms of pantheism. They all have all these different gods and goddesses, right? There's always this what's it called when you got the opposites, right? You got the male and you got the female, right? It's all pantheism, right? The Shekinah glory, right? So from the ancient mystery religions, like I say, from Babylon and Egypt and Greece, right? Then you get the offshoots from them, where you get your witchcraft. Witchcraft comes directly from the ancient mystery schools and was passed down throughout the years in witchcraft, right? They kept it hidden secret, right? Because Babylon and Egypt and everything that, they had their mystery schools, but they had the public service level, and then they had their priest classes. And then you got witchcraft, sorcery, divination, spiritualism, most occult practices, right? Eastern religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, right? All these ones, they're all directly get their source from the ancient mystery schools, and these are the movements that are going to carry into the New Age movement. And that's why in this whole Corona era, right, I was been skeptical of certain things, and like I talked about the drugs and stuff earlier, it's like there's this combining of this semi sorcery and witchcraft and spiritualism that's kind of mixing with Christianity, okay? And I've always kind of kept it a little bit at arm's length because I understand the natural way of things and whatnot, right? I understand these things, but there's a religion that's also built around them, right? And this witchcraft, I mean, there's in sorcery, I mean, there's dark magic and then there's light magic. And what is dark magic? Well, dark magic, the Brotherhood of Darkness, right? The Dark Brotherhood, the forces of darkness, they're all about death and destruction and chaos and murder and rape and everything like that, right? But the Order of Light, right? The White Brotherhood, the white magic, that's all about basically using manipulation and whatnot for the betterment of humanity, right? It's about using magic and pharmakia and so on and so forth for the lifting up of humanity, right? And so when you look at the Brotherhood of Darkness, right, the Dark Brotherhood, the dark side of things, that's overtly satanic. But the white magic, that side, that's a little bit more subtle. And Lucifer, right, that serpent of old, he was a very subtle individual. Okay? And that's why he's so seductive. Okay? Because he's not like the Satanists over there that, again, on their face, you know to stay away from them. You know to not have any part in that. Right? But over here on the white side of things, that's a different story. That's a little more tricky, a little harder to navigate. And that's why I've been cautious with, basically, I've been talking to everybody, but I don't necessarily fully agree with everybody, because there seems to be a little bit of a mixing of this spiritualism into the truther movement, right? There's a big time mixing of it. And that's where I've always been kind of wary. So I watch people, and I watch stuff that they say, and I try to make determinations on whether or not, okay, these people, they're still searching for the truth, right? Or are they fully committed to this particular cause, right? And it's really hard to figure that out. And so I'm not gonna, you can't really, it's hard to accuse any of these people or say anything bad about them, because we're all going through this process of trying to figure out things, right? And in my process of coming to knowledge and wisdom, right, I've gone down certain routes too that would eventually lead me to that side, right? Because you're searching all things to find out what's true. And sometimes when you're searching, you kind of get a little bit caught up in stuff, right? And then you can kind of dabble in certain areas and whatnot, right? But something always ends up pulling you back, because the true doctrine ends up getting revealed. And this is what the true test is, okay? If they deny the Son, if they deny Christ completely, it's done. If they say, oh yeah, he's a prophet, oh yeah, he did good things, oh, he showed us all good lessons, you know, when they can admit that Jesus is the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God, when they can't admit that he is Lord, and when they can't admit that he is King of Kings, the Alpha and Omega, then that's where you know to kind of just, you don't have to cast them aside, but you just kind of, okay, all right, I see the direction you're heading, right? And if they're truthful, right, you'll be able to have a conversation with them. But if they're not, if they're being deceptive, then just like anything else, when you bring up the truth, they'll poo-poo it, right? And put you off as being crazy and not knowing what you're talking about and being a crazy religious extremist, right? And they resort to the ad hominems and everything like that. So be wary. Witchcraft, sorcery, divination, spiritualism, most occult practice, Eastern religions, Hinduism, Buddhism. I mean, right? The Buddhists and the monks and everything like that. Like, I mean, gentlemen, they're pretty peaceful looking people, right? Don't you? You know, are they bad people? Well, if they deny the Son and are for the New World Order religion, then yeah, they're serving Satan, right? So I'm not saying that they're overtly wicked. There's two sides of the yin yang, and I'm always going to stick with that. And I know some people don't like that, but I really don't care. I really don't care, right? Because I'm not about saying the things that people want me to say. I'm about putting out the truth, what I've come to, right? What God showed me in His Word and what I see in reality. And I'm just trying to put it out there in words for people to say. I'm not trying to push anybody away. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But if the truth offends you, well, then let it offend you. Pick yourself up and dust yourself off and carry on, right? Accept it or deny it, right? Do something with it. I am putting the information out there so that you can make a decision. And I don't claim to be 100% right. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. You be you too, Linda. I like Linda. I like her a lot. So that leads to the New Age movement directly. Okay? Now, from the ancient mystery schools on the main inverted pyramid, you got the ancient mystery schools. Then you got Kabbalism, right? Everybody knows about Kabbalism, right? The Cabal, right? We all know about this. But if you really look at Kabbalism, you can see how it permeates through all the other societies, right? And how they have their source in Kabbalism. And you know that Kabbalism has its source in the ancient mystery schools. So where am I going to go from Kabbalism? Well, you can go down from there to Gnosticism. Okay? So Kabbalism, then you go to Gnosticism. And Gnosticism, so Kabbalism, it uses, the Old Testament as a allegorical book, but it has all of its own writings and whatnot, right? And its own teachings and its own tree of life, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the one that God told us not to eat from. And then Gnosticism, it takes more of a less Kabbalistic stance and goes a little bit more in the Christian perspective. But it goes in the sense of that, Christians are dumb and they take the Bible literally, and they don't understand that these are just stories and allegories that never really happened, but they're encoded messages that you need to glean the concepts from, which is true, but they also did happen, right? They're not just made up stories and allegories, right? And symbolism, so on and so forth. They are things that happen, and there's some in the Bible that are allegories, and they specifically say, right? Some are parables, right? But the Bible itself is a historical record. Okay, it is. It's a historical record. I don't care if you don't think so. It's a historical record from creation to the end of time. Okay? From Gnosticism, you get out of that and you go into the Knights Templar. And the Knights Templar, okay, they are more like the foot soldiers. They are higher than the Gnostics, because the Gnostics are more like kind of like the monks, right? That are kind of the students. And the Templars, well, they are the keepers of the Grail, right? They are the soldiers of the Lord, right? And there's a lot of cool concepts in the Knights Templar, right? And the images and whatnot, and the whole idea that it's, intriguing, but it's also a secret society, right? And there was the real Knights Templar, and then there's the other Knights Templar. Now, were they the same? I don't know, because you got two different ideas on the matter, right? Because there's the idea out there that all the different references to them, committing acts of sodomy and spitting on the cross and doing all this stuff, basically there's that picture of them all with their hands raised to the Baphomet statue and whatnot. And there's ones out there that say, well, that's just Jews that are trying to, sully the name of the Knights Templar. And they were wholly committed to God and whatnot. But it's like, well, the Knights Templar, they came from Kabbalism originally, right? And they carried knowledge, and they carried the ancient artifacts, and they carried all this stuff underground all over the world, right? And when they were hunted down from the King of France there, they fled, and they've came to North America. They went all over the place, right? And they hid themselves, right? And then they so to speak disappeared for a while. But then eventually, right, there's a group that's called the Rosicrucians, right? The Rosy Cross. Well, that's still, you got the cross symbol, but but then you got the rose in the cross. And what's the rosy cross? What's the Rosicrucians? Same concept of bringing the world into a state of risen consciousness, right? Understanding, having knowledge in all things, and ascending up into another state, okay? Lifting up mankind into this other state of consciousness, right? The Rosicrucians are one of the most mysterious schools, like as far as the Knights Templar, Gnostics, Kabbalists, and the ancient mystery schools. The Rosicrucians are one of the most mysterious and least talked about. Okay, not a lot of people talk about the Rosy Cross. Okay, but they were deeply entrenched in America at one point in time. But you don't hear anything about them because everybody focuses on the next rung, which is the Freemasonry and the Illuminati, right? And the Illuminati, well, the Illuminati, they were found out about, and they had to, basically they got rid of the Illuminati. Well, no, anybody who believes that the Illuminati, once they were found out, that they disbanded and that they're no more, well, that's complete hogwash, right? The Illuminati just went underground and they formed all their Masonry cults and all their branches off from that, right? You got the Order of the Eastern Star, you get the Knights of Pythia, you got all these different branches, right, of all these different secret societies. There's branches from Kabbalism, there's branches of Gnosticism, there's branches of the Knights Templar, right? You got the Knights of Malta, there's the branches of the Rosicrucians, there's the different branches of Freemasonry and the Illuminati, right? The Order of the Golden Dawn, right? The OTO, right? There's all kinds of, what's that other one there? Can't remember. But they all got these different branches, so it's like a hydra and it goes out. And so you can never pinpoint it because there's all these different branches, but if you look at them and what they're all, their concepts are all based, again, at that top mystery school level, because that's where they all get their information ultimately. So in Freemasonry, that's where you get Marxism, right? American and European secret political societies, all those different offshoots, you get them. You get Marxism, and you also get the different political and secret societies. Okay? You also get the international banking elite. Okay? And then you also have the World Council of Churches, because again, the churches are tied in, a lot of churches are like Mason lodges, right? A lot of their members are Masons, right? And the World Council of Churches, will they connect to the New Age movement, right? And they connect to the other world religions. So there's all these offshoots, but they all end up connecting one to another in order for a purpose to bring them together to the New Age movement. And the heads of the New Age movement, right, who bring those together, well, they're the occult, and they're the Theosophical Society, like H.B. Blavatsky and Alice Bailey, right? Fabian Society, right? All these societies, they're all meant so that people, they're all carrying this same idea, this same concept. And so when one person says, well, no, it's not them, it's this group, or it's not this group, it's that group, right? Well, it's all of them. It's all of them. They're all working in concert, and that's why you have so many offshoots, is so that you can't pinpoint it. There's so many heads, there's so many tails going in so many different directions. It's confusing and it's hard for the mind to process, so it's easier not to think about it, right? So the New Age movement consists of incredibly huge and well-organized networks consisting of thousands of groups, trusts, foundations, clubs, lodges, and religious groups whose goal and purpose is to prepare the world to enter the coming age of Aquarius. Okay? A small sampling of only a few of the organizations involved would include Amnesty International, Zero Population Group, Growth, basically Extinction Rebellion, right? California New Age Caucus. What was that? The Friends of Jesus and all that stuff back in the day, right? You get the Finders Clubs and everything like that. New World Alliance, right? World Goodwill, right? Goodwill funds all across the world. All these charities and stuff that operate all throughout the world. They will always end up being tied to different, pedophilia rings and everything like that, and child trafficking and trafficking of people in general. You've got the Church Universal and the Triumphant, the Theosophical Society, Club of Rome, Universal Church idea. You got Christian Science in different degrees, and basically the mainstream Christianity schools, right, that operate under this system where they, instead of being autonomous churches, right, that work on their own under the precepts of God and of Jesus Christ, instead of working autonomously, they all decide to unite together under, a council, right, an organization, an organized body, a hierarchy. And then every different denomination has these governing bodies. And then those governing bodies, they talk, right? And they're all planning the same thing, because from denomination to denomination, though they use different words and they kind of have different ideas and stuff, they all end up pointing the same direction. We can see that today with different churches, right? Because again, we got people in churches that are for what's going on, and we got people in churches that are 100% against it. We got secularists that are 100% for it. We got secularists that are 100% against it. We got atheists that are for it. We got atheists that are against it, right? There's all kinds of people that are on both sides of this thing, okay? Because there's two sides, and then there's the false paradigm of two sides, okay? So there's many other groups that are in this list, right? But it shows you the diversity of them, right? That it purposely, it's like in the different secret societies, in the Illuminati, and the Masonic Hall, the Jesuit order, all these ones, they all end up saying the same thing. Wherever they go, they're to be what the group of that area is, right? If you're among Christians, you're to be a Christian. If you're among Catholics, you're to be a Catholic. If you're among Freemasons, you're to be a Mason. You're among Jews, to be a Jew. Among atheists, be an atheist, right? Like, it's wherever you are, you be who that local group is, whoever's in charge, so that you can take over that group and subvert it, right? And then ultimately join together with the others. That's the purpose, and that's what's happened, right? So they run in these diverse organizations, and they operate in the economic realm, in the political realm, and the religious realm, right? So they cover all the bases. So, along with the New Age movement, right, as being a political and economical agenda, ultimately it's religious, right? Because it has a religious undertone in which the Antichrist will be the head and the world will bow down to him, right? But in order for the people to bow down to the Antichrist, they have to lock in that political and economic agenda. Then the revealing of the spiritual side of things will come in. So, based on that principle of what we talked about earlier, Armchair Quarterback said it, the Hegelian dialect, the Hegelian doctrine of dividing and conquer, right, of control, of putting chaos in, right, and then bringing in the solution for the chaos. Well, that's what they're doing now. They're putting chaos into the world, hit the Great Reset button, and then they're going to start their New World Order, right? But they can't start the New World Order until they kill a third of the population. That is the sacrifice, the first sacrifice to enter into the New Age. And then once we enter into the New Age, then it'll be the sacrifice of all those who will not go along with the new age. Because once this social cataclysm is done, the world will unite. The world will 100% unite once a third of the world is killed by war, famine, pestilence, beasts of the earth. Right? When all the systems are destroyed, right, people will unite. Guaranteed. So, the agenda is one in which the process of managed conflict will propel the world forward to a final state. If I would have just kept on reading this, it would have read better than how I spoke it, but it's funny, right? Like, I know this stuff because I've gone over it so many different times throughout the span of these years, right? That I say it and then I read it in the next sentence. It's funny. I didn't read this previous to before I started this. So, to the final state where the infrastructure will be in place for world government to fully rise to its prophetic status, right? And that rise is the New World Order government, right? That one world government. So this whole process that we're going to now of the egghead boy, cracked egghead, this guy in this Project Enoch, through the use of sorcery, which is used through technology now. Basically, witchcraft is technology, right? Well, technology's good. Yeah, it's good. We're using technology right now, right, to get this message across. But eventually, we're gonna have to come out of Babylon because they're not gonna allow us to have this, right, and use it for a good purpose, right? So, at some point in time, and what we're seeing right now in that Project Enoch, one of the ways that they are going to mess with people, I'm going to get to this little list here. Just give me a few seconds. How's everybody doing? 12:03. Man. Okay. So the technology behind Project Enoch. Let's take a break here and see what everybody's doing. How's everybody doing? Linda's still there. Camo's still there. Good to see you guys still kicking around. I want off this planet. I want off this planet. Is this Linda? No, Linda, don't do it. Stay for a little bit longer. We're in this now. Don't leave. Time to leave will come. Camo's still kicking around. Where's the hidden hand? Hey, circles within circles. Yeah, you bet. If you're still watching Hidden Hand, that's right. See, everybody's still kicking around. So, the technology. Project Enoch. Okay. So this is something that I read this quite a few years ago. Again, it was at least 10 years ago, probably 13, 14 years ago I read this. So Project Enoch is known by prominent New Agers as the revelation of the Masters of the Universe Project Bluebeam. Masters of the Universe, or Project Bluebeam. So Project Bluebeam is a special, NASA project term which could have some involvement with Project Enoch and the major deception of the masses. What's that deception? Let's see. The project is a special operations program that is tied into other exotic physics projects like the HARP program in Alaska. Remember HARP? Shut down now. It's like MK Ultra was shut down, right? No, MK Ultra went mainstream. All these things that end up getting declassified, all these things, these different CIA projects and everything, they're like, oh, we found out what they were doing and we put an end to that. There's no more of that going on. We got rid of those people that were experimenting on people's minds. altering their brain. No. They test it in the military, they test it in the lab so that they can bring it out mainstream. When they say they cancel something, they cancel what they're doing in the dark and then they externalize it to the public. But they do it openly as a secret. So, COVID, or Omicron. Omicron. The project is a special operations program that is tied into other exotic physics projects like the HARP program in Lausanne. HARP is a program that is in very simplistic terms, shoots high energy beams of scalar physics technology, Nikola Tesla, scalar technology, right? Have you read about that? Scalar technology. They were talking about how the Russians had these scalar weapons. Pete, you need that daunting music to read like your video, The Final Cataclysm. Yes, I do, eh? That's one thing that I'll say that Rage. Oh, he's got a good setup where he's got the mic that'll change his voice, and he's got the music and stuff playing. And I laugh because Rage does a lot of the same impersonations that I like to do. It's really quite hilarious, right? And so I hope nobody thinks that I'm trying to copy Rage, right? Because I like what he does, and I get a kick out of, his voice and everything like that, because it's like, hey, I do those voices, I do those impressions too, right? So to me, it's like, it's cool that there's somebody else that's doing that, and obviously he's got a much bigger platform with a much bigger audience, right? So he's got a little bit, he's got the same kind of setup as me right now. He's got a boiler behind him and stuff, but he's in the basement too. It's hilarious when he reads articles and he puts the music to them, because he uses the same, either the British accents or the kind of German accents or the Dr. Evil accents. Like we do similar things. It's funny. It's funny. So I'd like to. It'd be fun to have that set up where I could play music and stuff. But I'm a little bit boomer yet. But maybe at some point in time, I shouldn't say that I'm boomer. That kind of sounds boomerish. But it would be fun to be able to have some of that music playing and stuff, just for a little more entertainment value and whatnot. Maybe might keep a little bit more. But you know what? I like the people that come and watch this, that listen to the information, and they're not necessarily staying because I've got all of the bells and whistles going on. So I appreciate the quality of the audience that I have, and I thank you. Because ultimately you're not here to see me or look at me or listen to me, right? Like, we're trying to sort through this stuff and get the information out there so that we can basically edify each other and understand that we all are in this together, right? And they are all against us together. So we got to be unified on that front. So, Love Rage, gotta go, guys. Battery death imminent, sadly. That's usually me, Linda. Usually my streams end up going dead, but I'm all plugged in. I'm all linked up and I'm all plugged in, so nothing's going dead tonight. Linda, you have yourself a great night. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate you. And say hello to hubby. So, scalar technology. They talk about the Russians having this scalar technology for quite some years, right? Which is basically using particle energy beams to basically disintegrate matter, right? Obliterate it. So, heats up the upper atmosphere of the planet. One of the many possible uses of this technology involves the capability of projecting images of massive size out into the sky. In fact, Project Bluebeam is a program designed to project religious images. That's from the very essence of it. That's what the purpose of it was. to project these religious images. We haven't seen the religious images in the sky yet, so that's a future thing, right? That's being done. That's why they're, spraying the atmosphere and putting all that heavy metal and stuff into the sky, because they're basically creating an invisible silver screen so that they can project anything onto, right? You see these projections where they put on buildings and stuff where it's like, wow, that's quite the projection. Well, if they can put that up in the sky looking like a 3D image, can you imagine the effect that would have on the masses? If you're in New Brunswick and you're seeing something in the sky and somebody in Ontario is seeing the same thing, or on the other side of Canada they're all seeing the same thing, or across the world, can you imagine that? That would kind of leave you in a state of searching for a new ideal or a new orientation, so to speak, right? Because again, why do they want to do this? Because they want to have you abdicate to their way. They want you to deny what you know to be true, right? Don't fall for it. So, in a hologram presentation, it's like television without a box, providing visual stimulus without any apparent electronic receivers, so that anyone who is sighted could see it. Now, part of it too, with putting heavy metals in the atmosphere, they're also putting heavy metals in the ground, they're putting heavy metals in our food and in our bodies and putting them in these injections and so on and so forth. So I got to think that, we are also being basically programmed, so when they also, Project Blue Beam does these images, that they also can use us as antennas, or use those that are full of this heavy metals and whatnot, that they can use them as signals and they can communicate with these people. Seemingly nobody's even there. East Coast, bigot basement dweller. Trust the silenced. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. East Coast Canadian, good to have you, buddy. Go to East Coast Canadian, check him out. He's a bigot, not far away from me. Pretty funny how came across him, right? When I seen him and seen his first, put your VR headset on, exactly. Yeah. When I first seen East Coast Canadian, I seen one of his videos, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that guy is from where I'm from. Not because I knew him, because I didn't know him. I'm like, John, he looks, I feel like I should know this guy. But it wasn't because I knew him to see him. It's because the way he talked, I'm like, well, that guy's from where I'm from, literally. Because he talks the exact same. Half retarded. Just kidding, buddy. It's more so a joke against me. But we're all from, that town, that little village, right? So, you won't even need the VR glasses at some one point in time, right? You won't even need them. It's just going to be right there, but I think they'll enhance it, right? I think the VR thing is kind of like this. It's this concept. I mean, when you look at, the future of people with VR headsets on, it's really not very appealing. And I think to a lot of real everyday people, that's not going to be very appealing. There's a very small portion of the population that are really going to be, thrilled about this VR stuff. So I don't think that the VR is the future. I think that they plan on implanting the VR into us without actually having, I call it the metaverse. Hi, fellow people. Come and join me in the metaverse, where we can build worlds together and live in harmony. Great. What is even more astounding is that the technology is even so advanced now that the equipment can beam electric signals to the brains of blind people. Oh, well, what's Elon Musk want to do with that friggin', interstellar chip there he wants to drill a hole in your head and put into your brain, right? Says he's going to cure deafness, blindness, osteoporosis, and dementia, and a whole litany of things with this technology, right? You know, the insider who's an outsider. He's building technology for the future of humanity, right? So the brains of blind people, so that even they can see the hologram, although in reality they can't, right? They're gonna put all these things in place where again they're frigging with people on a mass scale here. The operation is easy to explain and reveal technologically. Holography, a technique for obtaining three-dimensional images, involves an interference pattern between two sets of single wavelength light waves. A single laser beam is split into two parts, one to illuminate the object. The second part, called the reference beam, is reflected by a mirror. The two beams meet, forming an interference pattern, which is developed to form a hologram. It's almost kind of like that, is it Pink Floyd there? They got the prism and the rainbow going through it. This hologram can be used to recreate a three-dimensional image, right? Right? Through the prism of the original object, according to a comprehensive, and you notice that it's a rainbow too, right? And what we talk about, the rainbow of classifications, right? The rainbow of the Noahide, right? So in principle, it will make use of the sky as a movie screen. Space-based laser generating satellites. I mean, why is Elon Musk and all these people have been so obsessed with getting all these satellites up into the sky for, right? Satellites projecting simultaneous images to every part of the planet, in every language, in every dialect, according to region. Right? Like having cloven tongues over your head, but not real cloven tongues, but flaming cloven tongues, but, you know, technological witchcraft tongues. Specifically, the show will consist of laser projections of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world, each receiving different images according to predominating regional, national religious faiths. No area will be excluded. So think of the more or less developed places in the world, right? When they see these images projected, like when the U.S. military went to these islands and stuff like that, when they were, you know, testing the nuclear bomb and stuff, and they flew there, and all the people were like, the gods have come, right? And then they left and went back and visited them later, and the natives, they built like this plane out of wood, is like, the gods, they've come back to see us, they flew here, now they're back, right? Aliens come first, yes. Satellites ain't real. So, well, there's something up there. They got something floating around up there, whether it's friggin', you know, balloon floating mirrors or whatever it is. There's stuff up there, right? There's equipment up there. They're just not in space, right? Faking the second coming. Exactly. That's exactly balloons. Exactly, Camo. That's the whole thing, is to fake the second coming, fake rapture, right? All this fakery, because again, if they can fake a fake rapture, if they can fake a second coming, right, then that person who comes, that thing who comes, can tell believers, right, that you haven't interpreted the scriptures properly, and we have to accept everybody, right? And if you can't accept everybody, then you're not one of mine, right? That's what they're looking to do. With computer animation and sound effects appearing to come from the depths of space, right? Astonished followers of various creeds will witness their own returned Messiah in spectacularly convincing likeness, or lifelike realness, right? The various saviors will then merge into one after correct explanations of the mystery. So, like, possibly, right, the aliens, right? I mean, we don't ever have to come in contact with them. What if they just project them, right? And they project a hologram on the stage saying, I have no autonomy over my last two fingers, so I can't do the Spock thing. We come, live long and prosper, right? And the aliens come and they say, we have come to bring humanity into the next stage of consciousness. You have passed the test, right? Once we defeat the fake New World Order, then the aliens come and say, you did it! You did it! Now we can advance you. We've been waiting so long to be able to come back and take you guys to the next level. Just been waiting you to get enough experience points. So, the various saviors, miracles in the heavens, doesn't the Bible mention that? Yeah. Signs and wonders, right? Even so, like, again, it says that the Antichrist will be so convincing that if it were possible, he would deceive the very elect. But that ain't possible. That's why you got to be looking. That's why you got to be watching. That's why we got to be researching and understanding. But putting our foundation on the solid rock, the cornerstone, which is Jesus Christ. Because again, if it takes you in any other direction but Jesus Christ of the Bible, not the New Age Jesus of the Ascended Masters, right? If it takes you in any other direction, then gone. Just like it says, like if some say, like, oh, look, he's returned, he's in the secret place, or oh, he's out in the desert, don't believe it. Because if someone has to tell you that Jesus has returned, then it's not him. Because when he returns, everybody's going to see it. There's not going to be a secret return. He's going to return, and everybody is going to know it. When he comes back, you're going to know it. As the sure as lightning goes from the east to the west, when you see that, so will be the return of Jesus Christ. You're not going to miss it. When you see a friggin' bolt of lightning run across the sky, you're not like, oh, did I just see what I think I saw? Yeah, you saw it. You saw it. So the various saviors will merge into oneness. Remember that. The oneness doctrine. The one after correct explanations of the mysteries. They're going to bring everything together and explain the true origins of how we got here. And how that they've been waiting for us to take us to the next level. Right? They're going to explain these things, the Ascended Masters, the aliens, the whatever you want to call them. Okay? Demons is what they are. Right? Doctrines of devils. The mysteries, the prophecies, and revelations will have been disclosed. This event will occur at a time of great political and general tumult. Are we in a time of political and general tumult? Well, we're definitely on that road, aren't we? There's lots of, there's lots of tumult, that's for sure. Lots of general tumult. The Blue Beam Project, developed by NASA scientists. NASA, NASA, they're all Nazis, right? All NASA, they faked the moon landing, but they've gotten better since. That was the old NASA. We got the new NASA today, right? I hate when people say that. Oh, that was the old NASA. The new NASA is much different. Sure. Consists of 4 parts, 4 steps toward implementation of the New World Order religion with the Antichrist at its head. 1225. I'm going to read these 3 because I think these are important, and then I'm going to end off with this. Before we go to that, let's go to the chat here and see what everybody's saying. Testing spirits. Wow, the very elect all got jabbed too. She's all got... Good point, Myrrh. Good point, Myrrh. Who's Myrrh? There's somebody in the chat that I don't know. You think we are picked to be here in this time? Yeah, for sure. We're here. We're picked to be wherever the time that we're in, right? And that's the thing, when that generation sees these things coming to pass, know that the end is near, right? And then once you see these things happening, all of those things will take place before the end of that generation, right? And you can see that they're wrapping up a generation right now, right, who's seen a lot more than we have, right? So the new generation that's coming up, that's who they want to be their, New World Order soldiers, right? Who don't have any idea of the past, who are basically being brought in from cradle to grave into the initiation. I feel like I was accidentally dropped in this time. It's funny, Armchair. I used to, when I was like, I laugh, at Alex Jones, because as much as, people say what they say about him, and I have my thoughts about Alex Jones and what he's about and everything like that, like there's a lot of stuff that he says that's like, yeah, that's a lot like me, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he took the half retarded line from me. I've been saying that for years, right? And but he always talks about, when he was a kid and the things that he did and how he was just different from other kids. I was the same way. I remember being like 4 years old and sitting up in my room looking at my ceiling, because I remember there was a stamp, right? Like people had like stamp pads, for business and stuff like that. A lot of people had them back in the day, and my parents had one. And I remember I had taken it and I stamped for some stupid reason. When you're a kid, you just do stupid stuff. Or like now, you still do stupid stuff. And I stamped these stamps on the wall. I remember on the ceiling, right, on the, because upstairs, right, you get the windows coming out of the roof. What's it called? Eaves? Whatever it is. And so you get that kind of angle part up to the ceiling, right, because your window is coming out from the roof. And so underneath, over top of my bed was that angle, and I remember stamping those stamps on there. And then I would lay there, and I remember vividly, like, thinking about, what happened in the world before me, and like thinking about, just these huge battles, like medieval battles and ancient battles, and like just all this stuff that, like, as a kid, like, do most kids think about that stuff? I don't think so. But I used to think about that stuff, and I've been enthralled with that stuff my whole life. There we go. Thank you. And it's weird. So I relate to Alex Jones and a lot of the stuff that he says when he talks about himself personally, right? And his bombasticness, and just how, he gets fired up, and how he carries on, because that's how I am, right? Like, I'm, in public and everything like that, I'm a pretty reserved in general, and kind of a shy kind of person. But if I'm in a comfortable zone, I'm loud, and like I'm aggressive and stuff. Like, I'm a different person at home than I am out in my everyday life, because I'm at most comfort when I'm at home, so I can act like myself, right? And that's me, being loud and obnoxious. And what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just these different thoughts. I remember I have a picture. There's a picture of me when I'm like still in diapers and don't have any hair, and I'm outside playing in a mud puddle. Now, before I seen that picture, like as I was a kid, later on when I seen that picture, before I ever seen that picture, I remember that specific time. And this is funny, right? And you can believe me or not, I don't care. But I specifically remember playing in that mud puddle. And in my head at that age, I was thinking in my head that this puddle was like a pool. And I pictured a massive diving board that I had to climb the ladder up to. and I was imagining in my head jumping off this diving board into this great big mud puddle. Meanwhile, I'm in the mud puddle going, right? But in my head, I was imagining I was jumping into this giant mud puddle off a diving board at like, I don't know, like 2 years old. It's weird, right? And you can believe me or not believe me, but I have those things, those memories from back. I can remember a lot of stuff when I was very, very young, before generally people remember, early thoughts and early memories. So I've always felt that I've had this course that I've been on. And for years, until the last few years, it was kind of this course where I'm like, am I? Or am I just crazy, right? Because, again, when you don't know any other people looking at this stuff, you start thinking that you're crazy and that this can't possibly be true, right? This stuff can't possibly taking place, and maybe I just need to reorient my way of thinking, right? So I can, be normal, so to speak. And then you see something and you're like, nope, it's exactly what I've been looking at this whole time, right? It's exactly the gut feeling that I have is exactly what's taking place, right? And so, Kovo's really brought it out, because it's brought a lot of people. It's really kind of clicked into a lot of people's minds, but it's also been like the launching point for the New World Order and their scheme, right? Because we're going to be going into the climate lockdowns and all this stuff like that, right? And COVID was basically the mechanism to initiate all that stuff, right? They've just been basically robbing and looting everything and making up all these rules and taking complete power and authority and control of every aspect of our life and of our countries and just economics and, of our, social lives, our culture, everything about us. They've taken over, they've been inverting it and destroying it before our very eyes, right? And they've been lifting up all of these groups and stuff that we see, right, that are purposely being propped up as an adversary, so that the general population will eventually, with enough anger and when enough chaos is done, that they will rise up and band together and destroy these destroyers of civilization, right? That's the whole thing. I have no recollection of my life before 4 years old, other than maybe one vague memory. At first I thought that said vag, so I was like, you mean birth? So that giggle wasn't the vague memory, I thought it said vag. Okay, now, taking a break from the chat, back to this finishing point. 2 hours and 57 minutes, nobody's going to watch this after, right? Nobody's going to watch this. Hey, if anybody wants to clip this, go ahead. I don't expect anybody to. But if you want to, go for it. So, technology and the implementation of the New World Order religion and the Antichrist at its head. First, earthquakes at certain precise locations of the planet will result in new archaeological discoveries, revealing that all religions' basic doctrines have been misunderstood and misinterpreted. Oh, imagine that. Everybody has to set aside a little bit in order to come together, right? You have to compromise a bit to come together. Everybody's got to compromise. Second, a gigantic space show with laser projections of multiple three-dimensional holographic images worldwide will appear to be the image of God speaking in all languages. Oh, Neepers, Project Bluebeam. Okay, so we covered that stuff. We know that there's earthquakes going on, and we've been seeing this, and people have been saying earthquakes in diverse places because that's what the Bible says, right? Well, that's they're using it, and we know that they've got weapons. They know that they got technology where they are creating this, creating these earthquakes and whatnot. They can do all sorts of things in order to cause these environmental situations, right? Just like with the whole, spraying of the skies and making the skies gray, and making it so it doesn't snow here but it snows over there, or so that this place that what once was hot and temperate is now getting colder winters, and this place that had colder winters is now having wetter winters, and so on and so forth. So they're messing with the weather, and when you mess with the weather, right, there's a lot of ramifications that come along, right? When you disrupt the natural of order things, it's like, those any of those shows or cartoons where they went back in time and it's like, no, don't do anything, don't change anything, or you'll screw up history, right? Things will basically exponentially change, and history will completely be rewritten just if you go back in time and step on a bug, right, that didn't get stepped on before. So, third, this is the big one. Electronic telepathy involving extremely low frequency, ELF. Well, we see that, right? We see that with basically how people are acting these days, right? And the absolute nihilism and brutality and, destructive behaviors and all of these other individuals, right, that are completely operating on this low animalistic level, right? Because you read those things where, they turned down the frequency. When was that? Back in the 50s or whatever, right? So that it was here, and then they turned it down here. And why is that? So that they control people on a primal animalistic level, right? Because I know for myself, right, if, like, I like music, but I don't listen to a lot of music anymore, right? Music has a major effect on me, right? Music can put me into some pretty crazy headspaces, right? It can take me up here and it can take me down here, right? It can rev me up, or it can make me sad and depressed, right? Or it can make me super happy, it can make me super aggressive, right? Music has a major effect on me, and it does for other people too. Some people it's not music, some people it's visually stuff does too. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive boy. So very low frequency, extremely low frequency ELF, and very low frequency VLF, and low frequency LF waves will reach people by the inside of their brains, interlacing and interweaving with the natural thinking to form diffuse artificial thought, and making each one to believe that God is speaking to them from within their own souls. The Bible talks about not blaspheming the Holy Spirit by basically not attributing things to God or the Holy Spirit that are not, and attributing things that are of the Holy Spirit and of God to Satan. Well, what happens if they're messing with your frequency level and they're putting thoughts in your head and impressions in your head so that you think that God is telling you to do this, right? Because just as we see people that are going along with all this stuff, like, they're not only, there's the ones that are committed to the lie, and then there's those naive people that are being deceived, that they believe what they're being told, right? Like when we watch the mainstream media, like we can't, like most of us, we can't even watch the mainstream news anymore, right? Because literally, like, just to look at them, like, that the word that comes out of their mouth is going to be a lie. Everything they say is a lie, or an inversion, or on its face just utter nonsense, right? We know that. But there's a lot of people that they watch them and they don't understand that. Whereas, we can recognize when someone is being deceptive when they're speaking. We can recognize when someone is, not answering a question, or when someone is leading us down a certain way. Hey, what happened? Just said I got buffered. Yes, they're destroying the first, and then they're building back better. 666, that's right. Building back better, right? And that's the thing, a lot of these people that are going along with it, they don't understand what the Building Back Better actually means, right? And how that they think that they're going to be part of the club, but really they're not, right? I remember when I used to believe the news. Yeah, I remember when I used to believe the news and people in authority in general too, right? Because, why would they why would they lie? Why would they be that evil? How can someone be that evil? Because we project, right, ourselves onto them and how we think and how we feel in our conscience, right? And we can't possibly understand why these people are doing the things that they're doing. But they've been taken over, right? They are basically, what's it called, it's like the invasion of the body snatchers, right? We're in that, where people are basically vessels that are possessed. And they don't have to be, just because you're possessed doesn't mean that you have to go around going, like, it doesn't mean you're a friggin' raving lunatic zombie, right? It just means that you are robot-like. So it makes you think that you're communicating with God, and if they are project images, if they are putting these impressions out there into the ether and these concepts on TV and on the radio waves and everything to get you all to influence you to think a certain way, and all the predictive programming throughout over the years that's getting us to this point, right? So that we when the time comes, we're like, that's where I've been programmed, that's the signal, right? Fourth, electronic, universal, supernatural manifestation designed to deceive will create the following illusion. Make mankind believe an alien invasion is imminent. Make Christians believe a rapture is imminent. And the aliens have come to rescue them, the White Brotherhood, right? And convince all the global satanic supernatural forces and manifestations penetrating worldwide, able to travel through optical fiber, coaxial cable, electric and phone lines, are everywhere and inescapable. So they can use technology, they can use these electrical lines, these cables, these monitors, all these frequency patterns to put all these supernatural manifestations into your visual realm or into your head, project them, make you think that you're hearing things, that you're seeing things. They're fucking with you, right? And the big thing that they've been programming us to is the alien invasion, whether or not they're coming in peace or they're coming to destroy us, right? And the whole concept of, again, a imminent rapture. It can happen anytime, any moment. Are you ready? Right? Well, you're waiting for that moment, right? You're waiting for that moment. You're waiting for that moment, and the deception comes upon the world, and all this destruction and stuff happens, and you haven't been taken out. So what happens to your thought and your belief and your how you feel about all this, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you aren't taken off this planet, right? And you're not going to be taken away before the imminent threat comes, right? Because there is a rapture, right? There is a gathering of the saints. I'm not going to say that there is no rapture. There is a rapture. There is a gathering together of the elect, okay? It's just not how they want Christians to believe it. That's the whole point, is to destroy Christians' faith so that they'll accept the New World Order, because the interpretations that you've been taught, that you've been pre-programmed to think of, didn't happen. Or some people will get beamed up and you'll get left behind. And then what are you going to do? right? So there's different facets to all this, right? So again, I'm going to read that last part. So Christians believe a rapture is imminent, and the aliens have come to rescue them and convince all that global satanic supernatural forces and manifestations are penetrating worldwide. So they're going to come back with this message, okay? And they could come back at the end of the cataclysm, or they could come back before the end of the cataclysm and say, hey, you guys got to go out. Left behind means the rapture happened and that you've been left on this earth to go through the tribulation and the judgment of the world. That's what the left behind means. If you look at the people that wrote the Left Behind, you can see where their ties fall into in this deception. I don't believe in the Left Behind thing, right? We're going to be pulled out before this, the rudiments of this world are melted like wax. We're going to be pulled out before then, but not before many of us are killed, right? But there will be those that do survive and are caught up alive, right? That will most definitely happen, because that's what it says, right? The dead will rise first, and those that are alive and remain will be caught up with them in the air, and so we will forever be with the Lord, right? There is a catching up, right? It's just not when most Christians hope it's going to be. They're going to have to go through some tribulations so that they get that white robe, right? So the aliens could also come back and say, hey, this is something that I've said before too, right? The aliens come back and they say, hey, there's this rogue alien that's coming back and he's going to destroy the world. And these particular people that call themselves Christians, they're actually part of his team, and they're looking to keep you from ascending to the next level. So on this call, everybody needs to go out and murder these people, right? These people that won't accept, these people here that won't accept the mark, right? They need to be murdered if you want to ascend to the next level. You took the mark, but you can't go on until these people are gone. And that concept is being put into people's minds with these jabs, right? But I say that there's a false end times that's happening right now that'll actually prep us for the true end times. So there'll be a possible great turning, and then prosperity and a setup for the Antichrist. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So the obstacle is not the holography itself, but rather the elf that will be waged, that must be counteracted. When elf is used on a person, all their senses alter. You may see things that are truly there, but others won't be able to see. Yet at the same time, you could capture these powers of darkness on film. Could Blue Beam coincide with the actual inner and outer invasion of the fallen angels and demons of Revelation chapter 9 in some way? Additionally, the technology can also simulate second coming, and there has been a reemergence of a new Montauk. Remember the Montauk project? Projects that have the ability to take up a whole group of people as in a rapture. Okay? Type situation and whisk the whole bunch into Never Never Land. Ironically, portions of the holographic projections had the potential for changing the planet into oneness with God. Unfortunately, this operates on the premise that man shall somehow become God in human form and control other men and dictate all actions and thoughts, right? Becoming God in this flesh before the flesh perishes or before Christ catches you away in real time, right? And changes you in an instant, right? They believe that they are going to become gods by their own work of their own hands. That is the great work. To ascend all things, knowing good and evil, and become God. Right from the Garden of Eden. I've been saying it the whole time, right? And that's how I thought, and that's how I'm going to continue to believe, because I've read this information, read the Bible, and you interpret that information by what the Bible says. So, the calculated resistance to the new religion, the new world order, and the new Messiah will entail human loss on a massive scale in the ensuing holy wars. Okay? I've been bringing up that concept. I said that in videos previous, that the whole world's going to get religious. Really religious. The Blue Beam Project will pretend. That's why I said that. Right now they're doing the economics, they're doing the technology, right? They're doing the political stuff, but they haven't fully committed to the religious side of it. But they're slowly rolling out the concepts of it. The Project Blue Beam will pretend to be the universal fulfillment of the prophecies of old, as major an event as that which took place 2,000 years ago. In principle, it will make use of the sky as a holographic projection screen for space-based laser generating satellites, or Star Wars. You've heard that concept before, besides the movies, right? Alex Jones has talked about Star Wars, right? These projectors will project simultaneous images to the four corners of the planet in every language by region. It deals with the religious aspect of the New World Order. Voila, there's a religious aspect I just was talking about, right? Again, I hadn't read this article in like 10 years, right? 12 years, 13 years, whatever long it was. 3 hours and 17 minutes. Jumpins. I'm not really tired, but it's like 12:52. 12:52. Yeah, man, my folks are double jabbed and didn't react to me talking about the Bible. Just said, totally uninterested. Made my peace that they're gone. Well, that's where the technology that they're using, where they are using that technology to dull the senses and to, again, take you off of that original compass that you have, right? So the mRNA are the drugs and the injections that I was talking about in the classifications, right? That's what I think they are. I think they're to prep people to accept what's coming, to prepare them, to get their bodies ready, to get their minds ready, to prepare them for what's coming, right? Doing a weird new clearing of his throat now. Sounds really trying. Are you there visiting right now? Well, it's good that he's able to clear his throat, because some of these ones with the whole thing, they can't even clear their throat. Peter, are your parents and siblings still purebloods? Get into any fights about it with fam? Well, East Coast, my siblings are all jabbed, but I really don't get in any fights with them, and they're all basically coming to the conclusion, right? And my sister, for example, she had cancer and went through treatment and everything like that. So you know what they told those people, right? Oh, you should get it, because you're very vulnerable. And she's a nurse, right? So she, believes that occupation. Why would they lie, right? They're not in it to kill anybody. They're in it to help people, right? So she did what they told her to do, what she thought she had to do. My other sister was holding out, and then did it because her daughter, oldest daughter, was concerned and wanted to get it, so he got it with her. My brother, well, he's been in the hospital for basically since COVID. So, yeah. But my parents, no, they haven't taken it. No, it's been a little. My mom's been the easiest one to talk to about it. My dad was, not planning on getting it or anything, but was still kind of like, well, I don't know if it's quite that, but he's come around full circle now back to the main line of thought that where it's like, nah, this is bull crap, right? And no, they're still purebloods. So my parents, my 70-something-year-old parents, and myself are the purebloods in our family. And my siblings, we don't get in fights. They know me enough that they're not fighting with me, because I'm a very passionate person. And like I say, when I'm around my family, I tell them what I think, and they tell me what they think. And we'll fight and go on one minute, and the next minute we'll be happy as can be, right? We get it out of our system. We have a lot of conflict, but then we have resolution, and then we go on. And I see that my siblings are turning to the right way, but they did what they did. So all I can do is pray for them and continue talking about them, because again, every day the bullcrap continues on. They seem to be coming to an understanding, right? And now, do they necessarily want to admit that little baby brother was right on the situation? No, but it comes to a point where you got to kind of swallow your pride, right? Because it is what it is, right? And it's not like I'm coming from a place of anger, right? They know that I'm coming from a place of love, right? We love each other, right? We're not a family that says the word love. We don't give each other hugs, and we don't kiss, and we don't, we're not the typical family. We're, dysfunctional family, but very functional. And we all care about each other, and we love each other, and we wouldn't let anybody come between us, right? Like all my family, like I live the furthest away, right? And I'm in Sussex, right? I live the furthest away from home, right? So that's how close we are. How's your dad doing East Coast? Is he must be coming around a bit, hope. I know you said that he had big at Walton's. Yeah, pretty much, eh? Pretty much. How's your dad doing? You've had a couple people in your family die, correct? East Coast? You've had a few encounters with this whole thing. Sorry. It's a really crappy thing, right? Deb said he'd take 10 more. Frank. Sorry to hear about that, man. All you can do, man, is pray for him. You love your dad, right? Yeah, nobody talks anymore. I know all about that, man. My friend circle is very, very small right now, right? Like my best of friends, I don't really talk to them anymore. What's there to talk about now, right? You get together and you talk to them, and they're like, wanting to talk about, sports ball, or where they're gonna go, or what they're gonna buy, or all these plans that they have, right? Because they're all back to normal, because they're all compliant. So their life for them is just moving on, and they're just walking around with these blinders on, right? Meanwhile, my wife has lost her job, right? I've lost 2 of my side jobs, right? possibly in the new year, most likely, will lose my main job, right? And all they can say is, "Hey man, sucks. Sucks, bro. This stuff's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's stupid." And that's it, right? No, that's stupid, man. Yeah, yeah, that's stupid. It's more than stupid, right? But yet, well, what can I do? What can I do? Well, you could have, not went along with it. Could have not submitted to it, bent over first thing and took it. You could have at least stood up to it for a little bit. But hey, I still don't hate them. I still don't dislike them. I still love them, right? I don't hate them. I just want to slap the shit out of them, right? And get them to wake up. I got friends that I've talked to about this stuff for years. They would be they should be as educated on this as anybody. But as soon as there was a little bit of push or a little bit of a threat to their convenience and comfort, hey, I got to do it. I got to do it. But I still love them, right? I still care about them. Still, still want them to come around. Will they? Am I being naive? You can say whatever you want. You can come at me and be hard, right? And say, "Oh, you gotta," I've said you got to cut out the dead wood, right? But when I'm talking about the dead wood, I'm talking about those people that have already turned against you. There are people that haven't turned against us, but they're walking around with blinders on. And there's just going to take something to really shake them. And obviously it's not going to be what you tell them and what I tell them and how much we tell them and what information we show them and what videos we show them. It's not going to be that. It's going to be when it actually hits home to them. And I hope that it's not too late. So we'll find out, won't we? Omicron and ADE, antibody dependent enhancement. All right, it's 1:03. Let's end things off on a good note. Okay. Matthew, chapter 28. I'm going to start at... No, let's read the whole chapter. Why not? Let's finish this off. Bruno, I got the vaccine. I'm sorry to hear that, Bruno. Are you happy about that, or was it one of those things that you were kind of pushed into it? You were coerced into it. Sorry that you got it. Hope all is well with you. Ooh, Matthew 28. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon him. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. Hardened Roman soldiers guarding the cave became as dead men at the presence of this man with a countenance of lightning. in white raiment. Verse 5, and the angel answered and said unto the woman, Fear ye not, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Then said Jesus unto them, Be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me. Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city, and showed unto the chief priests all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders, and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, Say ye, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. Right? That's what they're, don't let anybody know, right? And if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure you, right? Because if they let anybody take the body away in the night, then their life is forfeited. So don't worry, we'll persuade the governor not to, say anything about this too, to secure you that you're not killed. So they took the money and did as they were taught, and this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Why? Because when he went to the heart of the earth and was risen up by the Father, he came up and he's got the keys to death and hell. All power is given unto me in heaven and in the earth. Right? That Lamb, who is the only one worthy to open the 7 seals on that scroll, right? The Lamb slain before the foundations of the world. 19. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. Amen. Observe all things whatsoever I commanded you. And lo, I am with you always. Right? Don't fear him who can cast you into a prison, but fear him who can cast you into hell. Who's that? He who has the keys to death and hell. Right? That's who you need to fear. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. That's what every man has to do. No man can do it for you. You have to do it. You have to seek after God. You have to seek after the Son. You have to believe on him. And lo, he is with us always, even unto the end of the world. Even unto death he is with us. No man can pluck us out of his hand. He is our rock, the rock of our salvation, the cornerstone, the stone that the builders rejected. He is that. He is the head and we are the body. And eventually he's going to call that body to himself. Glory be to the Lord. You're right. I have the vaccine. I'm happy. Do you believe in the Trinity? Bruno, I don't know what your whole thing is about here right now. I assume that if I say I believe in the Trinity, that you're going to try to lambaste me with some kind of satanic concept where I, believe in some satanic Trinity. But maybe not. I hope you are happy with getting the vaccine. I hope you're okay. it says, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Looks like a Trinity to me. Looks like a Trinity to me. Right? But now I don't believe in the concept of drawing a Trinity in the, object of a triangle. I don't believe in making a symbol to it. I believe in the concept as it states in God's Word. So Bruno, I hope that you understand that. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? The Father is God, the Holy Spirit is God, Jesus Christ is God, but yet they're all separate, right? How does that work? Well, it's 1:11 in the morning. I'm not going to explain that right now because that's one of the hardest things to explain without screwing up. It's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to actually explain it. And that's where belief comes into play. That's where an understanding of God's Word comes into play. Because there's all kinds of different Trinity concepts out there. That's one concept I can never grasp. I know, there's times when I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. And then there's other times when I'm thinking about it and I'm like, no, I don't understand that. But there's three that bear record in heaven. The Father, the Word, and the Spirit. Right? Let me get that right. I'm messing that up. Three that bear record. Let's just look at this. John 5 and 7. Make sure I got this right. Maybe I can say it. Yeah, that's right. So for there are three that bear record in heaven: the Father, the Word, which is Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost, that helper that Jesus Christ sent, right? After he ascended to be with the Father, he told them to go and wait in Jerusalem until he sent the helper, which is the Holy Spirit, right? Jesus Christ, the Word made flesh, begotten of the Father, right? Who was with the Father from the very beginning. So the best Trinity verse is 1 John 5 and 7, which conveniently enough in all the other Bible versions they remove that, right? And if you look the next one, and there are three that bear witness in the earth: the Spirit, and the water, and the blood, and these three are one. And this same author, John, right, it says the Spirit and the water and the blood. What came out of Christ's side? Water and blood. And John was there, a witness to that, right? He was a witness to it. And that's the Spirit of truth that carries throughout the entire Bible. So if there's things that you don't understand in the Bible, pray about it, ask God to show you, and then read it, right? Because again, working out your salvation with fear and trembling, right? You have to do it yourself, because not everybody's going to be able to explain it to you in a precise manner, right? I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not a person that can necessarily put his thoughts into perfect sentences that are, understandable. I hope people understand what I'm saying. I hope I'm not confusing people, right? I hope that they will take what I'm saying and that they will go and look at it for themselves, like a Berean, to search the scriptures daily to find that these things are true, right? That's what a person needs to do. You need to, when you hear the word being preached, right, that's a witness to you, right? That's the witness of the Spirit, right, to you. So then you go and then you search that out and find out that that's true. You search that witness is true, right? And when you look through the Bible and you cross-reference things, you see 2 or 3 witnesses and they confirm that truth. I hope so too, Camo. That would be great. Not because I want them to watch me or anything, but if I'm saying anything that Jehovah's Witness, you're Jehovah's Witness. Hey, nothing against you, man, but Jehovah's Witness, they are one of those offshoots on the hierarchical level. I'm not saying everybody that's been brought up in it, but Jehovah's Witness, they got this concept of this basically reigning in the world into Christendom. Not even Christendom, but yeah, basically bringing in the kingdom of God by their own hands. That's what the concept is, that the whole world will basically Christianize, so to speak, and will bring in the kingdom, right? And that's the same thing as the Mormons, right? It's the same thing as all the other secret societies. They all believe that they will reach this ascended level by their own means through technology, right? And eventually with religion, the New World Order religion. So, Bruno, I thought Jehovah was God. Well, Jehovah is God. Not disputing the name Jehovah. Okay? Not disputing the name Jehovah. Jehovah Jireh. Not disputing that whatsoever, right? But there's also ways to invert that as well. So, anyways, I'm not going to come down on you, Bruno, or anything like that. Hopefully, like all of us, you're seeking the truth, and that you will come to the truth of Jesus Christ. That's what I hope. Because I know not all Jehovah's Witnesses are bad people. I know not all Mormons are bad people. We all have been brought up in some sort of ism. Whether it's a religious ism or a secularism or an atheism or whatever it is. We've all been brought up in some sort of ism that's in this world that we have to jettison from and get onto the true light of Jesus Christ. The real Jesus Christ, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Now I'm done. 3:42. I gotta go. I gotta get to bed. I gotta get up in like a couple hours. And you know what else I gotta do? I gotta go and piss against the wall somewhere. Just kidding. But I do. It's been 4 hours and I'm like, my teeth are floating. So, United Church here. There's a United Church in this town that their stained glass window, homie. Their stained glass window is a friggin', they got a cross laying on its side, and then at the top of the stained glass window, it's like a triangle, and at the top, guess what's at the top? Guess what's at the top? East Coast Canadian, have a good night, bud. An eye, an all-seeing eye at the top of the United Church. Isn't that crazy? You can drive right downtown to see it. Probably no one else really notices it, but it's there. It's a great big eye sitting in the middle of that peak, that pinnacle of that pyramid. Ew, start of RemFam? RemFam. Yes. Yes, this and then inverted version, right? They made their banner the Star of RemFam. No. All right, I gotta get going. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks for joining. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for chatting it up in the chat. Thanks for sticking around this entire time. It's been a long, went by pretty quick. Felt like it went by pretty quick, but pretty long stream. So share it. Please hit the like button. 6 likes? Come on. What's everybody doing? Don't be so lazy. Hit the like button. Let's get. God bless everybody. Armchair, have yourself a good night. Camo, good night, brother. East Coast Canadian, good night. Linda, you've gone. Good night. Revelation 3:9. Good night, brother. Mark of Melbourne, you were here earlier. Good night. If the dead could hear, good night. If who else was there? Bruno, have a good night, man. Everybody, have a good night. And we'll see you later. It's time for this cat to get to bed. How do I end this? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. I don't know how to end this stream on my phone. Exit? Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes, I am sure. Have a good night, everybody. God bless. Peace out.